A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Yes, it's the Goldbergs.
Pardon me, but I'm looking for Mr. Fleming.
Oh, I'm Mr. Fleming.
Oh, so it's you, is it? Well, see here, young man. I've been hearing some of the things you say about Duz on the radio.
But listen,
The idea of saying that one soap can do everything in my wash.
But Duz can.
Well, I know a lot of ladies, myself included, who say that's impossible. Why, how can this one granulated soap do all three kinds of wash?
But that's just what Duz is made to do. All three kinds of wash, from grimy work shirts and heavy towels to pretty lay-on undies.
What? Why, wouldn't it have to be a new kind of soap?
Well, just you try Duz. It is a brand new kind of granulated soap, not just a new improvement of an old soap. Why, Duz is so new you've never before been able to buy a soap quite like it.
Oh.
In fact, this new Duz even looks different than most granulated soaps. It's so much whiter. And believe me, Duz gives you really snowy white clothes, too. It gets even the grimiest towels dazzling white.
What about my linens? What about my sheets?
Oh, they'll come out sparkling white. You've never seen whiter washes than new Duz gives you. In fact, Duz gets clothes whiter, far whiter than any number of other soaps.
But tell me, to get all this whiteness, will I have to scrub hard?
No, ma'am, not with Duz. There's no hard scrubbing and no boiling either. In fact, no soap made gets clothes white easier than new Duz.
Well, I declare.
Lady, all I ask is that you try Duz. Try it for all three kinds of wash. Just see how nice and soft it leaves your rayon undies. Notice how clean it gets those dirty work shirts. But most of all, see how snowy white it gets your streaky towels. Yes, right down your wash line. Just compare what Duz can do, and then see if any other soap will ever satisfy you again. Remember, Duz is a really new kind of granulated soap. Just ask for Duz, D-U-Z, today, and next wash day, let Duz do everything. And now, the Goldbergs. Well, Molly Goldberg is so primed with the crisis in Orianne Leland's life that she has no mind for anything else at the moment. For Orianne is definitely going to marry Mr. Way, and permission has been obtained from the parole board. But Molly knows this marriage can't succeed. Pity can't replace love. And Molly is sure that Orianne really loves Dr. Cater. So Molly's wild to see Dr. Cater, while Jake has decided to go along with her and see that reason prevails over sentiment. Listen.
Rosalie?
Yes, Mom?
Come here, dear.
What, Mom?
Oh, wipe your hands, darling. Just through washing the dishes. Uh-huh. What, Mom? Rosalie, dear, if anybody calls up, or if anybody comes, so they do which what, just say I'm not in or I went.
Well, where are you going, Mom?
I'm going to pop over to Dr. Cater.
Shall I tell that to Orianne?
No. Not to Mr. Ray, not to Nita.
All right.
You ready, Molly?
I'm coming, dear. I'm coming momentarily. I'm just I have to change my shoes. They're walking, no?
And do this.
Thank you. If they're walking, then I have to have on my flats. With high heels, I'm not a walker.
Do you want me to help you, Mom?
Finish your dishes, darling, so you can do your homework.
I will.
All right.
Want your hat, Molly?
Mine hat? Yes, dear. Mine really twists around. Oh, the phone. Take the phone, Rosie.
All right, Ma.
I must get my new shoelaces here from the shoe. Hello?
Hello, Rosie.
Oh, there's Dr. Cater.
I do. I'd like to speak to your mother, please.
Just 1 minute, Ma.
Well, 1 minute, Jay, darling. The phone's for me.
Who is it?
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Cater.
Is Orianne there?
No, she didn't return yet. I was just walking up to your house to meet you.
I'm not at home.
Oh.
What's
Something wrong?
Well, what do you wish me to do?
Just wait for me. I'll be right over.
Oh, very well, Dr. Cater. Very well. I will wait.
Goodbye.
Bye. Oh, my. Dr. Cater's coming over.
Then you don't need me.
Well,
I'll be at the mill. If there is anything, call me.
all right, darling.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, dear.
Be advised by Dr. Cater, Molly. He knows more about human emotions than you do.
Not now he doesn't, Pa, because he's in love with Orianne himself.
Oh, it's a fine to do. Then the chick teach the chicken.
I only say...
Very well.
But your neck, dear.
And I still say, be guided by Dr. Cater.
I will, dear. I will. I love you and I will.
Goodbye.
Bye.
And I love you too, but be guided.
Rosalie, give me my apron, dear, and I'll finish the dish. I'm almost through, Mom. All right, darling. You want to do your homework, no? I have to go over to Rowena's for my math problems. Well, then, so go, dear. Well, I don't think I should. Rosalie, please, dear. Please. You know, I know when you begin to dilly-dally. You know that. Please. So don't make excuses. Because whatever Dr. Cater has to say to me maybe is not for your ears. Well, that's the reason I don't want to go over. No? So what then? Well, her brother has a guest visiting them, and I don't want them to think that I'm just going over just because I want to meet him or... why should you think? You think it's all right? Well, why shouldn't it be all right? Who is the gentleman? I don't know. They go to college together or something. Oh. Well, then go with your math homework and do your math homework and then come home. You don't have to linger. When did you meet him? This week. Oh, I have to change. Why do you have to change? You look very nice. I don't like myself in a sweater, Ma. Why? Look. I think it looks very nice. So don't take off your coat. They may ask me to because they're having a few other people over. I mean, older boys and girls, and just in case they ask me to. It's okay. Where's my apron? I'll get it, Ma. Please, darling. Ma. Yeah. You know something? Yeah, what? I'm sorry for Mrs. Ray. I'm glad we're not rich. What has that got to do with Mrs. Ray? And nobody's ever going to marry me for my money like Mr. Wade did. Oh. Ma. How do you know that you're in love? That's something I don't understand. I mean, how can you tell? When you are, you'll know. Oh, did something happen to you? Mm-hmm. Or something very wonderful happened to you. Very wonderful. So go up if you're changing yourself out and go. Oh, Dr. Cater?
Yes. Did Orianne get back?
No, she didn't get back yet. Rosalie, you're changing? No, I'll go this way,
Mrs. Goldberg, something must
Rosalie, slip on your coat.
I'm not listening, Mom.
Sit down, Dr. Cater, please. Let me help you, Rosalie.
It's all right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And Dr. Cater, if you're in love with Orianne, then don't
Rosie.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Mrs. Goldberg, there isn't any time for hesitation and doubt. That marriage mustn't occur. It can't.
Surely
There's
not.
nothing between Orianne and Edward Way but pity. And pity will run thin and leave nothing between them but a wedding ceremony.
Exactly, Dr. Cater, exactly. It's what I said from the beginning. It's what I'll say to the end.
We've got to make Orianne realize it.
Of course, but
I'll
how?
tell her just what she feels, just why she feels it, and how foolish and hopeless it is. Very simple. Anyone can understand it.
Of course.
It's because of her past. There were a great many years after her husband died when the world was like a blank wall without windows. And no one looked out to see whether she and her son were alive or dead. And there was never a hand outstretched or a sign of pity extended, and she felt alone and abandoned until you helped her. And now she realizes how immense a gift of human sympathy pity can be, and how necessary it is for the salvation of one single human soul. Her own first, and now Edward Way. And that's why she's going to marry him, because of what it will do for him.
And that's what you're going to tell her?
Yes.
Don't.
But it must be.
Don't, Dr. Cater. Because I say and I think, so maybe I'm wrong, but the right to be wrong, everybody wants. The way to save Orianne for herself and for you too, Dr. Cater, if you love her and if she loves you, is to put Mr. and Mrs. Ray together.
It'll take years.
Maybe your way. Excuse me, not mine.
No, that's not so. Mrs. Way has to be cured before she can realize what she feels towards her former husband. And Mr. Way has to be saved from his past before he can see his wife clearly.
It can be done.
Well, I'm sorry. I can't see how.
Listen, Dr. Cater, dear. Listen. Maybe I'm not as smart as, how shall I say it, as a book. But I've seen many, many things in my life. Mr. Way is against the world because the world won't forgive him for the money he took from those thousands of people.
No.
Just a minute, Doctor, please. Just a minute, Doctor, dear.
his wife has the money to help him pay it back.
His former wife refused once before, and he went to jail.
Very well, very well, very well. But now, Dr. Caden, she's jealous. She would do anything in the world to prevent him from marrying Orianne. What would Mrs. Ray say if her former husband said, if you help me pay back those people, I'll leave Orianne, I'll remarry you?
She'd laugh in his face.
I say no.
But even if she did, and I know she won't do anything like that, you'd have Mr. Way marrying a life of tragedy and revenge all over again. It would ruin him and his wife, both of them. Make things worse than they are.
Maybe. And maybe, Dr. Caden, if Mr. Ray will have to give up Orianne, and Mrs. Ray would have to give up her money, maybe they would find each other on the bottom.
Huh? What do you mean?
I mean, Dr. Caden, what reason can't do, maybe sacrifice can.
And so Molly tells her plan to young Dr. Cater. And to his scientific mind, it sounds fantastic. But then, more things are wrought by wild chances than this world dreams of. You know, doing things by half measures is never very satisfactory, is it? And that's why I'm sure you get mighty disgusted with the halfway job old-fashioned soaps do for dishes. They either go only halfway on speed or they're just halfway kind to your hands. Well, that's where New Does is different. Because this new kind of granulated soap has everything you want for dishes. Yes, this same Does that does everything in your wash gives you a new idea of dishwashing, too. You get whirlwind speed plus greater kindness to your hands. In fact, Does treat your hands like a baby. Just notice how wonderfully soft and smooth they feel after doing dishes with Does. It's the only leading granulated laundry soap to give your hands this extra gentle care. Yet no soap made speeds through dishes faster than Does. Why, those bouncing suds cut even tough grease without hard scouring. Just one look at those suds will tell you how different this new kind of granulated soap is. So, try New Does today. It has everything for dishes. And be sure to listen to the next episode of The Goldbergs, written for you by Gertrude Berg. Next time, Molly and Chris take that outside chance. This is James Fleming, wishing you good day for Procter & Gamble, the makers of Does, the new kind of granulated soap for all three kinds of work.
In just a moment, X-1. But first, here's an important date to remember. It's this Sunday when the highly acclaimed program On the Line with Bob Considine premieres on NBC Radio. Behind each news event is a human interest story. And beginning Sunday, you can hear these fascinating sidelights with commentator Bob Considine. You'll also meet the important people who make the headlines, people from the government, labor, and management, or perhaps someone in your own hometown today. The latest news becomes more meaningful when you understand the human interest. So make a day to hear On the Line with Bob Considine. Now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blast-off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus one.
Tonight, The Old Die Rich by H.L. Gold.
The uniformed cop at the door told me to get lost. But Lou Pape spotted me and told the man to let me in. It was a shabby room. They always are. There was a woman on the bed, an old woman with white hair, thin enough to show the tight-drawn scalp. The medical examiner was going over her as if she were a side of beef that you had to put a federal-grade stamp on.
When are you going to stop taking this ham friend of yours around to these cases, Sergeant, just to gratify his morbid curiosity?
Forget about Weldon, Doc. What did she die of?
Not eating, malnutrition.
Oh, now look, Doc, in the top bureau drawer, she had bank books showing $32,000 from 5 different banks. Now, she had the price of a meal.
Malnutrition induced by senile psychosis. They starve because they're less afraid of death than digging into their savings.
I don't know, Doc. It doesn't feel right to me.
Listen, Weldon, just because you get up on a stage or on some half-baked television show and make believe you're 70 years old doesn't qualify you as an expert on gerontology.
Maybe not, Doc. But I went bald at 25, and I've been playing old men ever since. There's a lot more to it than just shuffling around and talking in a high-cracked voice.
Yeah, there hasn't been an actor since Otis Skinner.
Maybe. But the way I work, I have to get inside the character. I have to decide when he was born, how he got along with his father, where he went to school, what he thinks of women, everything about a character.
There isn't a one of them these days can make themselves heard past the 5th row.
Look, I'm serious. Now, I've tried imagining myself growing weak from hunger. I've tried to think of not even spending a nickel to keep me from dying. I just don't believe it. It isn't right. I don't feel it.
Well, lucky for me, I don't have to feel these things inside of me because I'm a doctor and not an actor. Sergeant, malnutrition induced by senile psychosis. I'll order the wicker basket from Bellevue. So long, Barrymore.
Well, he's right, Mark. We get a couple of these cases every year. Some old bat starving to death with $17,000 in old bills pinned on his union suit. Turns up all the time.
Al, it doesn't feel right.
Well, he knows his business.
But he doesn't know old people. I do. It isn't easy to starve to death. Not when you can buy day-old bread at the bakery or wilted vegetables the grocer's ready to throw out. Anyone who's willing to eat that stuff can stay alive from day to day. Hunger is it's a pretty potent instinct.
Maybe they get too sick to go out after old bread or wilted vegetables.
It takes weeks to die of starvation. Did you ever try starving for weeks, Lou?
No, did you?
Well, the point is somebody would find out, a janitor, a landlord, somebody, and they'd get him to a hospital.
Forget about it, Mark. Can't argue with it. Here there were 5 bank books, $32,000.
Yeah, she took good care of them. They look almost new.
Sure she did. Most important thing in the world, huh?
April 23rd, 1907, $150. The ink's pretty dark. Shouldn't it be faded?
She probably never took it out in the light.
Anyone ever think of testing the ink?
Well, what for? Bank's records always check. These aren't forgeries, if that's what you're thinking.
Well, I'd like to get a chemist working on this ink.
Now, Mark. Look, this is strictly against regulations. I got to take these books down to the squad room and sign them in.
Pretty dark ink for 1907.
Well, it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I guess I could hold them over tonight and bring them down to the property clerk in the morning.
Good. I know where I can find a chemist.
Mr. Weldon, there's no doubt of it. The ink sample is typical of inks used 50 years ago. 1907 would be about right.
There, you see, Weldon? I was supposed to go to the Trotters tonight.
But according to the amount of oxidation, it's fresh enough to be only a few months old.
There, I was right.
Well, couldn't that be the result of unusually careful handling, though?
No, yes, I suppose it could. An airtight compartment, perhaps, sealed with one of the inert gases or a vacuum. That might account for the lack of normal aging.
Lou, you can't keep inert gases in a top bureau drawer in a 4th floor walk-up.
Yeah. Well, it's probably some simple explanation.
For fresh ink, half a century old. I've been going out on these cases for about a year. It's my specialty, playing old people, and when I'm not working television or something on Broadway, I go down to the homes for the aged or the parks or just watch. Lou Pape's an old friend of mine, and he put me on these malnutrition cases. But there was more to it than just picking up color and tricks of the trade. There had to be a better reason for it. You can't just starve to death with upwards of $30,000 right at your fingertips. Not without at least buying a bowl of soup. I had a run of television that kept me busy for about a month. Then Lou Pape called me up and asked me to come down to Bellevue.
I'll autopsy if you want it, Sergeant, but I can give you the cause of death right now. Malnutrition due to senile psychosis.
What's up, Lou?
Well, Mark, an old guy was found wandering around down on Hester Street. Suffering from malnutrition, he had $17,000 in cash inside the lining of his jacket.
Is he alive?
No, not now he isn't. Doc's got him in the room there, but he was stumbling around when the cop on the beat picked him up.
Did he say anything?
Well, he talked to the cop. Pretty smart young kid. Seems the old man kept talking about money and about his wife. She must have been dead 20 years. And then, just before he went out completely, he did say something, maybe 3 or 4 times.
Well, what was it?
El Greco.
You mean the artist?
Well, that's what Stankiewicz said. He's the officer who picked him up. Said he remembered he'd heard the name on that television quiz program. You know, the jockey who's the art expert.
El Greco.
Probably some Greek restaurant where he was bumming his meals. Are you sure you want no top seat, Sergeant? It's late. I won't get to it till tomorrow.
All right, take your time, Doc.
There's something else, isn't there, Lou?
Well, maybe, Mark. We found the old guy's room, and there was an ad thumbtacked over the sink. Nothing too unusual.
Yeah?
Here it is.
Men and women wanted, light work suitable for old people. No references required.
Well, I checked it with the lieutenant. He says to forget it. Says it figures for an old guy to be interested in an ad like that.
An old guy with $17,000 in cash?
Yeah. Well, I didn't figure I'd argue with the lieutenant.
You mind if I keep it?
No, go ahead.
It was an old brownstone house in the East 80s. I got in line with the rest of the applicants. My face was lined with collodion wrinkles, and I wore an antique shiny suit and run-down shoes. It was a good makeup job. I looked more authentic than the rest of the old-timers who were waiting for the interview. I finally came up to where a woman was asking the questions.
Name?
Kernet. Louis Kernet. Kernet.
Mm-hmm. Address?
Well, I don't exactly have a place. I've been staying with a fella down on 12th Street, a friend of mine. I met him in the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm. Previous occupation?
Well, I worked at a lot of things. Used to be a printer way back. I could handset...
Do you have any references?
Well...
Family?
No, ma'am. I haven't got any family. I had a cousin in Salt Lake City, but I haven't seen him in 30 years or more. The ad said you didn't need no references.
Well, that's right. Now, will you wait in the other room?
Yes, ma'am. Do I get the job, ma'am?
Just wait in the other room.
I shuffled into the other room and sat down to wait. I concentrated on building a character for Louis Kernet. If I was going to carry this through, I was going to have to play a better performance than I'd ever given before. About half an hour, a young woman came into the room. I'd planned to be dozing the way an old man would, and so my eyes were closed when I heard the door close. When I opened them, I was looking into the barrel of a .38 revolver.
Are you awake now, Mr. Weldon?
Huh? Ma'am?
I don't think you need to carry on anymore. If you need any further convincing, you are Mark Weldon. You're about 40 years old, and you played this same character on television about 6 weeks ago, and you played it fairly well.
Thank you. Would you mind putting down that gun?
Yes. Why did you apply for this position, Mr. Weldon? You're not old. Not really.
Well, as a matter of fact, it was a bet. I was having an argument about the method with an actor who trained at the Old Vic. I bet him that I could get by off the stage.
Yeah, well, don't bother. You've been very busy recently trying to find out why senile psychotics starve themselves to death.
How did you know that?
Well, I happen to know that you've been present at several police investigations into these cases, and you're a good friend of Sergeant Lou Pate.
Well, you know a great deal more about me than I do about you.
Well, I would be glad to enlighten you. My name is May Roberts. I'm the daughter of the late Dr. Anthony Roberts, the physicist, who was dismissed from the Brookhaven Atomic Energy Laboratory 5 years ago.
I assume you're connected with these starvation cases, or you wouldn't have known I was investigating them.
Well, that's obvious, isn't it? I'm not afraid of professional detectives, Mr. Weldon. They deal only with facts. I don't like amateurs. They guess too much. They don't stick to reality. Consequently, they're likely to get too close to the truth.
Unfortunately, Miss Roberts, I'm nowhere near the truth. I haven't the slightest idea how you're tied in with those starvation
Well,
deaths.
I intend to show you, Mr. Weldon. I'm happy to announce that you have the job.
Now, look.
Don't move, Mr. Weldon. Oh, incidentally, about 15 minutes ago, I called Sergeant Pape and told him I was your sister just in from Pittsburgh. I wanted to get in touch with you very badly, and Sergeant Pape was very sorry. He wished he could help me, but he didn't have the slightest idea where you were. All right, Mr. Weldon. Right ahead of you, please. Through that door.
She didn't look like the kind of girl who would forget to hold the gun on me as I went down the hall. So that's all I did, just go down the hall. I climbed up to the 4th floor to a large room. There was a maze of electrical equipment bolted down, tubes and wires and dials. In the middle of the room was a wire mesh cage. She kept that gun on me, steady as a rock. She began to set readings on the dials and flip switches on the control panel.
It'll take about 5 minutes for the field to build up, Mr. Weldon. Please get in the cathode area.
You mean that wire cage?
Go ahead.
All right.
Now, I wouldn't advise moving now, Mr. Weldon. The wire carries some 10,000 volts.
Now, look, Miss
Mr.
Roberts.
Weldon, you're curious, and you could turn out to be a great nuisance to me. As long as you've come this far, we might as well both benefit by it.
Benefits?
You'll find a suit of clothes on the floor there. Put it on.
But after all...
Put it on.
I didn't know whether she was bluffing about the electric charge, but the revolver looked real enough, so I stripped and changed into the other clothes. The shoes were a little too tight and pointed. The collar of the shirt was too stiffly starched and too high under my chin. The suit was too narrow at the shoulders and at the ankles. I remember my father had a suit like that. The same shiny blue serge.
All right. In your pocket, you'll find a set of envelopes. You'll find a set of instructions on each. Follow them carefully.
I don't get it.
You will. Use the envelopes in the order they're arranged.
What's this all about?
Mr. Weldon, I meant it when I said this could be a benefit to both of us. There's no use explaining anything. You'll find out. And don't try to escape. It can't be done. All right. Now the field generators are ready.
Look, Miss Roberts, this is absolutely...
Just follow instructions, Mr. Weldon.
I blinked. I was standing outside a bank on a sunny day in spring. I stared at the people passing by. They were dressed like the characters in a 1930 movie. The women wore long dresses and flower pot hats. Men had hard straw hats, suits with narrow shoulders. Cars were square with flat radiators in the front. There was a trolley car passing by, and suddenly I realized that the last trolley car stopped running in Manhattan years ago. I tried to figure it out. It was New York, all right. I recognized some of the buildings. First, I figured it must have been hypnosis. And then I looked at the first of the envelopes in my pocket. I read it and walked into the bank.
Yes, sir. Our Mr. Golden tells me that you wish to open an account.
Yes, that's right.
Uh-huh. Well, we're very happy to have a new depositor. Very happy indeed. Of course, you realize the institution is in sound condition, very sound. You needn't worry about all those rumors in this bank. No, sir. Solid.
Well, that's good.
All right, now then, name? Mark Weldon. You have no address in the city at present?
No.
And you're depositing $150?
That's right.
All righty. I'll just check the slip here. $150, right. And the date, May 15th, of course, 1931.
31? The Depression.
Oh, now, Mr. Weldon, this is a very good year for business. This temporary recession is bound to abate. Sound banking policies will see us through. It's just around the corner, you know.
What is?
Prosperity. All right, Mr. Weldon, we're very happy to have your account.
I went outside the bank, and I stood there in the spring sunlight and let the terror soak into me. The possibility of the entire situation was gnawing at the edges of my mind. And then suddenly I wasn't there. It was as fast as blinking. I was outside another bank in the same city. The date on the next envelope was May 29th, and it was still 1931. I made a $75 deposit there, and then $100 at another place a few days later, spending a few minutes each time and going ahead anywhere from a couple of days to almost a month. In 1934, I found myself inside a broker's office.
Very well, Mr. Weldon. As I understand it, you are buying this stock for a Dr. Anthony Roberts.
That's right.
I assume the stock will be in his name?
That's right. I'm just acting as agent. I follow instructions.
Of course. Well, are you sure I can't convince you that you're making a big mistake?
No, these are my instructions.
Well, now, Mr. Weldon, we are a reputable brokerage house, and, well, frankly, I feel quite shaky about putting our clients' money into this kind of security. There's no future in it. It's a rare metal for which there is very little use for industrial purposes, and... however, if your client is adamant...
I have my instructions.
Very well, then. In the name of Dr. Anthony Roberts, 100 shares of Montana uranium. Most unwise.
It went that way about 50-50. I'd deposit money in my own name in various banks at other times. Then I'd buy a stock or make a bet for May Roberts. On June 21st, 1932, I bet Jack Sharkey to take the heavyweight title away from Max Schmeling. There was Singing Wood in 1933 at Belmont Park and Max Bayer over Primo Carnera. I went on skipping through the years, touching here and there for a few minutes to an hour at a time. It was in early October 1938, about 5 hours after I'd left May Roberts' house, before I realized what she had me doing. It was making deposits and winning sure bets, just as those senile psychotics had done. The ink on their bank book seemed fresh because it was fresh. It wasn't given a chance to oxidize. The rate I was going, I'd be back at my own time in a few hours with $15,000 compound interest in cash. But those old people had died of starvation somehow with all that cash in banks. I didn't know how it happened or why. But suddenly it occurred to me that I didn't want to be found dead in my hotel room. So rather than make the deposit in 1938, I grabbed a cab and told the driver to step on it. I got a mile away from the bank, and then the cab suddenly disappeared. I found myself in front of a counter at a lunchroom. The envelope instructed me to make a bet on the World Series. There wasn't any way to get out of the range of the machine. It picked me up at least 5 miles away from where I was supposed to be. Came back a week later to get my winnings. I was hungry, so I got myself a hamburger and went out the door. When I hit the sidewalk, it happened again.
Don't touch the cage yet, Mr. Weldon. I'll have to clear the charge.
Hey, what happened to my hamburger?
What?
The hamburger. I had it here. It's gone. I'm hungry.
I'll get you something to eat, Mr. Weldon, before your next trip. Well, you've done pretty well for yourself, haven't you?
Yes, I have. About 15,000. I had ketchup on my sleeve. It's gone.
Mr. Weldon, I want to talk seriously with you. Now you've seen part of what I'm doing.
Part?
My father was discharged from all his research and university connections because he insisted in publishing his findings on the temporal field research. All the conventional physicists explained that it was overwork and recommended everything from hot bouillon before retiring to psychoanalysis. Well, possibly both of these might have been beneficial. But the fact of the matter is that temporal field activities are quite true, and you've seen proof.
Well, I suppose I have.
So it seemed just a question of money, although obviously I can get all I need now.
But sending people back through time to bet on sure things like uranium...
It's a fair exchange. I pay well for service, don't I?
I suppose so.
But that isn't the most important thing. I've been able to save things that would have been lost otherwise. I've sent people back to find precious treasures that would have been destroyed or would have disappeared.
Like an El Greco painting?
Yes. And the original score of Mozart's Magic Flute that would have been burned in 1942, and a Picasso miniature that would have been lost at sea in 52. I have them all here.
Stolen?
No. Bought with money from the year itself at a fair price. Well, Mr. Weldon, I sent you back because I've needed someone to work with me on a regular basis. Someone who's faster and more alert than the old people I've hired till now.
Why old people?
It's a function of the field. You can't send somebody back to a year in which they didn't exist at all.
I'm hungry.
Please, Mr. Weldon, this is very important. My father died trying to prove the validity of his field theory to conventional scientists. And I don't intend to bother. We can become the most powerful people in the world.
I don't feel very powerful now. You haven't got a sandwich hanging around.
I want to make you an offer, Mr. Weldon. I need someone to help me expand the operation, plan the projects and research. I chose you because I was afraid that you might hit on the truth by yourself.
Can I come out of this cage
Be careful.
now?
Don't touch the contacts. The field reacts on a random factor for at least an hour after it's cut off.
I'll be careful. Tell me, Miss Roberts, why haven't you been able to go back to the time that your father was alive and bring him back before he died?
Dead tissue can't be transported. We've tried it with mice and rabbits from a laboratory in 1941, and they just disappear.
Like my hamburger.
Mr. Weldon, I assume that you're interested and that we can make our plans without using this revolver.
I hope so. $15,000 is a lot of money. Of course, you were able to send those old people back a lot further.
Some of them as far back as 1880.
How long would they be gone? I mean, in subjective time.
Several weeks. Perhaps a month or more.
There's only one problem, Miss Roberts.
Well, I'm sure we can work out any details.
Well, this one is a little hard to work out. You see, I'm hungry. I haven't been this hungry since I got lost on a hunting trip and went without food for 3 days. You see, you forget I've got an interest in this business because they found some old people dead of malnutrition and $30,000 or so tucked away in their pockets. They had been gone a month or more, and they had to eat during that time, didn't they? When they came back, the food disappeared like my hamburger. It disappeared all at once, all over their body. In one fast jolt, they starved to death.
No, you don't understand. They just couldn't take the field transition. They were too old, some of them, and they lied to me about their age to get the job.
Oh, no, you can't tell me that because I know how hungry I am. And I was only gone about 12 hours. They were murdered.
Get back.
You know, they say a hungry man gets mighty desperate. He'll do almost anything. Let go. Let go. Let go of it.
Oh, my arm.
Look out. Look out. The cage. The contact. She fell into that cage and disappeared before she hit the ground. I didn't know what happened. I know she said the field worked in a random factor, whatever that meant. I called Lou Pate, and he came to the house just after the fire started. Something went in the control panel, and it turned out to be a 4-alarm fire before they got it under control. There was nothing left of the machine. There wasn't much left of the brownstone house. Lou didn't believe the story I told him.
You mean there won't be any more of them? No more senile psychotics starving to death with a bankroll in their hip pocket?
No, I told you, Lou.
Come on now, Mark. We get plenty more. We always have.
No, I'll bet you won't. I'll bet you $1 there won't be another case like that.
I'll take that bet.
I lost the bet. There was one more case, and perhaps it was the strangest one. A woman was found wandering in Bryant Park just before she died of acute starvation. One strange thing was she was young, not more than 30. And the other was she had $17,000 stuffed in her pocketbook and a bullet wound in her arm the medical examiner said was at least 2 months old. I guess that's what she meant by the random factor.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features This Way to the Regress by Damon Knight, the story of a man named Sullivan who, strangely enough, did not have a great future behind him, but rather a great past ahead. Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. In a moment, tonight's cast and a preview of next week's exciting drama. Farmers know they can't stop storms, floods, or droughts from ruining a crop. But they can make sure things like that can't ruin them by investing in United States savings bonds. Not only farmers, but over 40 million Americans in all sorts of jobs own 40 billions of savings bonds. And why? Because savings bonds are the easy way to start saving and to keep saving. And the money you invest in savings bonds mean protection now and ready cash when you need it in the future. Improving the farm, sending the youngsters to college, or planning your own retirement. These are the big things you can be ready for with savings bonds. And besides offering you a safe investment, each Series E savings bond pays you back $4 at maturity for every $3 you invest.
Yes, you earn extra dollars while you save, so start saving now. For the big things in your life, be ready with United States Savings Bonds. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Old Die Rich, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by H.L. Gold and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Jim Bowles, Jan Miner, Bill Zuckert, Guy Repp, Wendell Holmes, Ralph Camargo, and Ivor Francis. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Bob Maurer and is an NBC Radio Network production.
In just a moment, X-1, but first...
A familiar theme that introduces some of the sweetest music this side of heaven, the music of Guy Lombardo and his Royal Canadians. And beginning Monday, July 30th, NBC Bandstand brings you live 2 full hours of your favorite tunes by Guy Lombardo, Tommy Dorsey, plus wonderful arrangements by Freddie Martin and Wayne King. It's 4 top bands in person, joined by sparkling personalities like Burt Parks and Johnny Mercer, your Mr. Music. Remember, July 30th for the premiere of NBC Bandstand.
And now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, The Stars Are The Styx by Theodore Sturgeon.
They call me Karen. It isn't my real name, but it suits my job. Karen, you may remember, ferried dead souls across the river Styx of Greek mythology. I ferried dead souls from the planet Earth out into the unknown of space. My little satellite station is known as Curbstone. I've been here for 20 years. Yes?
Karen?
Oh, Tween. What is it?
There's a ship landing from Earth.
Is it the regular shuttle?
Yes.
Okay, we'll check the candidates as soon as they're in.
I'll fill out the reports for you.
Thank you. Oh, Tween.
Yes?
Close the door a minute, will you? I want to talk to you.
Yes.
How long have you been here on Curbstone?
Oh, I don't know. I think 2 years.
Approximately. And you've been helping me here in the office for almost a year and a half. Have you thought about going back to Earth?
Well, yes, I thought about it.
And?
Well, I couldn't. I'd rather die. I just don't seem to belong there.
You'd rather stay here and wait?
Yes.
Even though you may never become certified for space?
One day it will happen.
Perhaps. I almost hope it won't.
Oh, don't say that.
Well, the shuttle should be coming in soon. Maybe this trip there'll be somebody aboard for you.
I have a feeling there will be.
I suppose I ought to explain a little about Curbstone at this point. We're a stopping point. Well, a jumping-off place would be more accurate. We get people from Earth who, for many reasons, cannot remain there. Some are antisocial, criminals of a sort. Some are misfits, individualists who cannot adjust to the rigid standardization. Some are just different. People who are physically different and who have been ostracized as a result. And a few are poets. Those who have souls too big for the confines of Earth. They come to Curbstone and wait to be certified for space. And it's my job to send them out.
They're waiting.
How many of this trip?
2 men and a woman. One of the men...
Yes?
Nothing.
Oh, I've known you too well to be fooled. Why, you're practically glowing. Did you speak to him?
No.
But you think perhaps he'll be the one to choose you?
Well, I think perhaps the way he looked at me.
How?
Well, he didn't think there was anything funny about me. He just looked.
There is nothing funny about you.
Oh, you're trying to be kind.
You should know me better. I'm the original Billy Goat Gruff.
Oh, I do know you better. You have a kind heart.
Enough of that. Ask them to come in. One at a time. I watched her walk to the door, and I thought she was beautiful. She was, but not in a way acceptable to the eugenics department back on Earth. Tween was an albino. She had silver skin and hair, and ruby-colored eyes. If I hadn't been such an old, fat fool.
This way, please.
Thank you.
This is the senior release officer. He'll check you in.
Thank you, miss.
Your name, please.
Well, don't you know it?
No, I'm afraid I... Judd! Good Lord.
Hello, friend.
Judson, after all these years.
I understand they call you Karen.
Yes.
Well, good. I'll call you Karen.
Well, what in the name of misery brings you to Curbstone?
Oh, I'm a candidate.
But you, of all people, you had a good position and enough money. You didn't get into trouble, did you?
Oh, the sort.
Of what sort?
When I was your student at the university many years ago, you taught me to enjoy my individuality.
Huh.
I tried to teach my students the same thing. The authorities wouldn't stand for it.
I see.
So I decided to take my chances in space.
Are you aware of the risk?
Well, not fully, or I probably wouldn't be here.
Well, then let me acquaint you with the procedure here on Curbstone. Look out that window. What do you see?
It looks like a spaceship on a launching platform.
Exactly. That ship is aimed at the outer galaxies. It has enough fuel to reach its destination and land, but not enough to come back.
I see.
The people who come here to Curbstone have to be certified before they can take off in one of those ships.
Well, how does one go about being certified?
There are 3 requirements. You must pass a physical examination and a mental examination.
And the third?
You must find an agreeable partner for the trip.
A partner?
A partner of the opposite sex who is willing to share her life, or death, with you from now until eternity.
That could be rather difficult.
When the Earth authorities agreed to Operation Curbstone, it was decided that it would be a method of colonizing the outer galaxies with Earth people. Therefore, these ships are built to carry 2 people.
I see. Well, suppose I choose somebody and she doesn't want me.
You wait.
Just suppose I pass the physical and the mental test, and I even find a partner. Suppose we get into the ship and are launched into space. What are our chances?
Come here. This board shows a light for each ship that is en route in space. There, you see that one? That's a couple named Fort and Mary Ellen. They went out together last week, headed for the Deneb systems. As long as the light shows, they're all right. They haven't been destroyed by radiation or piled up on some asteroid or gotten into a time warp. We know from our years of launching couples here on Curbstone that 46% of them never make it.
And of those that make it?
We don't know. They have the equipment for survival, of course, but who knows what they'll meet on some strange planet.
And still they go out, huh?
Still they go out.
When do I take the examinations?
Well, you can start tomorrow if you like. I'd like to talk over old times with you right now, but I have to check the other 2 passengers you came up with.
Certainly.
Tween, would you come in, please? Tween assists me here. She, too, is waiting to find a partner for the trip.
Yes?
Tween, this is Judson. Judson's an old friend. He was a student of mine many years ago.
Very happy to meet you.
Yes, I know you are.
Tween, tell the others to come in, please.
Yes, sir.
A remarkable girl.
Remarkable looking, at any rate.
Well, Tween will tell you where your quarters are. I hope we'll talk soon.
Well, I hope so. Oh, by the way, that light on the board, Fort and Mary Ellen?
What about it?
Well, it just went out.
I was happy to see Judson. My memories of our association were pleasant ones. As he left, the other two passengers came in. The man was young, dark-haired, and slick-looking. His name was Wald. The woman, well, she takes some describing. Her name was Flower. Her voice was like a cello, and her figure was a walking demand for the revival of the now extinct profession of Peeping Tom. Let me be honest, I didn't like either of them. That takes care of your documents.
How long will it take us to be certified?
Well, that depends. If you pass your test, it can happen in a week.
And suppose we don't pass our tests?
You might be here a year, 2 years. There's no limit. You can keep taking the test, or you can return to Earth.
Earth? Oh. Well, is there anything to do up here? I mean, excitement.
That depends on what you consider excitement.
Anything we haven't already tried. Isn't that right, Wald?
We decided to come up here, Mr.
Call me Karen.
Karen. How quaint.
Anyway, we decided to come up here because we were bored with the routine on Earth.
You're aware of the risk involved?
You mean we might not make it? Well, that's life, isn't it?
Well, for some. For others, it's death.
I don't like that kind of talk.
You'll attend an orientation session tomorrow. I'll have my assistant show you to your quarters. Twin.
Yes?
Come in, Twin. I want you to meet Flower.
How do you do?
And Wald.
Well, Curbstone is exciting already.
Something different, darling?
Oh, shut up.
This is Tween. She'll show you where you live.
Oh, a pleasure. A distinct pleasure.
There was something decadent about Wald and Flower, something almost reptilian. I couldn't believe that these two would ever step into a ship and risk the trip to space. Of course, I could be wrong. Boredom drives people to risk many things. At the session the next day, I watched my three new arrivals. When it was over, I stood talking to Judson. Well, still want to go out?
Yes.
You got a companion yet?
Oh, yes.
Really? Well, you haven't met anybody yet.
I've met the person I'd like to go with.
Mind if I ask who?
Your assistant, Tween.
You don't disappoint me, Judd. I fell in love with her the first time I met her, too.
I haven't even talked to her yet, except to say hello and where's the commissary, but there's a quality about her like, well...
Like a cool breeze on a hot summer's day.
Well, you are smitten.
At my age, I can afford to be romantic.
Oh, excuse me, am I interrupting?
Not at all. Judson, you know Flower.
Yes, we met on the ship coming to Curbstone.
I wondered if you were busy.
Me?
You.
Well, not really. No.
Good. Then you can take me down to the recreation room for some methyl caffeine.
Well, I don't use it.
That doesn't mean you can't take me.
Well, you're Mr. Wald.
Wald and I are just very good friends. Besides, he's busy right now. He's being shown around the satellite by this gentleman's assistant.
Tween?
That's her name. The peculiar one. Coming, Judson?
I guess so. You excuse us?
Certainly. When I saw Tween the next day, there were stars in her eyes. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're laughing.
Am I?
Your eyes are.
I'm happy.
Good.
I think it won't be long now.
Before what?
Before I'm certified.
Oh?
I've met someone who really likes me.
I see.
Can you guess?
No, who is it?
Well, you know the dark-haired young man who came in yesterday with your friend Judson?
Wald?
Mm-hmm. We went down to the ship together, and he asked a lot of questions about it, and then we started to talk about us. He says he's wasted his whole life flitting from one diversion to another.
Really?
Now he says he's looking for something with some meaning.
You like him?
He isn't afraid of me. He doesn't see anything wrong with my being different.
I thought he was with Flower.
Oh, he says he and Flower travel together because of habit. They're both bored and looking for something. Or someone.
Well, as long as it makes you happy.
He kissed me. Do you know that no man has ever kissed me like that?
You enjoyed it?
Oh, yes.
Did he say anything about going out into space with you?
He said he could think of no one he'd rather go with.
And when is he going to sign the certification?
Well, he felt we ought to get to know each other better. For a while, anyway. He's right, don't you think?
Yes, I think it would be better.
Karen.
Yes?
I love you very much.
Why did you say that?
Well, because it's true. I mean, there's something so kind and understanding about you.
Don't let it fool you. Underneath, I'm the same as anybody else.
No, I don't believe it. Why, they picked you for this job because you have such compassion. You could never hate.
Could you?
I don't know. I never have, but well, now I don't know.
That's because you're in love. You can't love really unless you can hate.
I don't believe that.
Oh, I just invented it to sound as if I knew the answers. Come on, I'll buy you a drink to celebrate the big event. I watched her sip the drink, the tones of her skin coming and going with the pulse of her blood. I thought to myself, you're going to be hurt, Tween. You're going to be terribly, terribly hurt. And I wondered if perhaps she didn't know it. Well, Tween, another couple out into space. Maria and Clint. Will you record it and have another ship brought up to the launcher? Tween.
What? Oh, sorry, I was thinking of something else.
Wald?
Sort of.
How long has it been now?
3 months.
Long time, huh?
Well, he wants to be sure.
And you? Are you sure?
Oh, yes.
Nothing to do but wait, then. I have to go over to the hull division. Will you take over?
Yes. Sometime I, too, will be speeding through space, and I'll be a tiny light on this board.
Hello there. You mind if I come in?
Oh, not at all.
Where's Fatso?
Karen? Oh, he isn't that fat.
Well, he's fat enough. Where is he?
He went over to the hull division.
This is a nice layout.
Did you come to see me or the layout?
You know I came to see you. Matter of fact, I wanted to talk to you about something.
Well?
The party tonight at the rec center.
Well, what about it? We're going, aren't we?
I can't make it.
Was something wrong?
I'm meeting somebody else.
Oh.
Flower.
I see.
Oh, come on, now don't look so hurt. Flower and I have bummed around together for years.
Well, I thought she and Judson...
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
Well, they spend all their time together.
Oh, you don't know Flower. She likes to experience new things. When they get to be old, she tosses them away. All except me.
And you? Do you like to experience new things and toss them away?
Look, I'm sorry, Tween, but it's just the way I am.
Like Flower.
Like Flower. We're two of a kind.
Would you do me a favor?
Why not?
Make it a clean break. Don't try to see me again or tell me any more lies. Even though I want to hear them.
Okay.
And thanks.
Thanks.
For these 3 months. Even though they've been make-believe. At least I've had them.
Well, I'll see you around.
Yeah. I'll see you around.
Hey.
Oh, Karen. Karen.
Oh, no. Just let him flow.
He doesn't care about me. He never has.
I know.
He's going back to Flower.
I know. I saw him leaving.
Oh, what'll I do? He's the only one who ever wanted me.
No, not the only one. Now there are two of us. The question that kept going through my mind was, what next? How long was Walt going to hang around Curbstone before he decided to go back to Earth? I couldn't believe he'd have the guts to go out into space, but I had underestimated Flower.
Well, the prodigal returns.
Don't make funny remarks.
Tell me, darling, what brings you to my room at this late hour? Could it be that you miss me? Or has little Miss Tween given you the heave?
Shut up and give me a drink. And don't act so self-righteous. You've been having your fling with this Judson character.
My. Jealous, too.
Oh.
I thought you and I agreed a long time ago we'd never make any claims on each other.
That was a long time ago. Frankly, I'm getting bored with this satellite. Let's go back to Earth.
I'm bored with Earth.
Well, we'll go someplace else then.
I am going someplace else.
Where?
Out. Space.
Oh, come on now, don't be ridiculous.
Oh, I am not being ridiculous.
Do you know that only 46% arrive? And if you get there, heaven only knows what kind of monsters or poison atmospheres get you.
I know, but there's a certain thrill in the risking.
Oh, and when did you start feeling poetic?
Since I started talking to Judson.
Listen, Flower, don't try to trick me. I know you too well. You're 100% too selfish to risk your pretty skin for some poetic feeling.
Well, listen to me. You and I have been together for years. We're very much alike. Now I'm telling you that I intend to go out. I want you to sign my certification and come with me.
You're mad.
No. I think maybe if we get away from everything out there, we'll find each other.
Oh.
We'll have a chance to love and be decent like ordinary human beings. Oh, well, don't you see? We've been destroying ourselves for years. We're getting older now. Oh, please. Please try to see it. A clean start, a new life, huh? Well?
This fella Judson has really been filling your ear, hasn't he?
He's a kind person. He doesn't think I'm worthless.
You kill me, girl.
Walt, would you come with me?
No. If you want to wreck yourself, go ahead. And who, pray tell, thinks enough of a cheap character like you to sign her certification?
Judson.
What?
He said he would go out with me. And I intend to go.
I certified Judson and Flower that same evening. They were going to leave at midnight. I was working late. Come in. Well, Flower, I thought you and Judson...
We're not going. At least, I'm not.
Oh?
Judson decided he didn't want me along.
He did?
Here. He left this note for me. The story of my life. Nice girl, but who wants to marry anybody like that?
Let me see. I'm going alone. Don't try to stop me. It wouldn't work. I'd always look down on you. Judson. It doesn't sound like him.
Sounds like every man I've ever known. Except Wald. Wald doesn't judge me.
Except Wald? Where's Judson now?
Locked in the ship. He's leaving at midnight.
3 minutes. Listen, you wait here.
Where are you going?
See if I can reach that ship before it's too late. A man of my size and age shouldn't run, especially when he has a bad valve in his heart. But I covered the distance to the takeoff ramp like a track star. As I hit the edge of the ramp, I heard Tween's voice screaming at me from the control tower.
Karen, look out! You'll burn! Karen! Look out! Karen!
I reached the door just as the rockets were beginning to warm up inside the ship. There wasn't any way to get in except to blast. There's only one way to stop a ship from taking off once the combustion chambers are operating. You have to get the dampening rods into the chambers and stop the chain reaction. It took a lot of beef, but I've got a lot. I looked around the control room of the ship. Judson was strapped into the pilot's chair. The controls were preset for automatic takeoff. I went over to him. He was dead. His head cracked like an eggshell. Judd, I know you can't hear me, but I swear to you, I'll get the one who did this.
Really? Don't move. I have a gun on you.
Walt, you're a pig. You're a living human pig.
Thanks for the compliment.
To take the life of a man whose only act against you was that he wanted to help Flower?
I can't afford to lose Flower.
Don't you think you've lost her already?
Not at all. She thinks Judson is going out into space without her.
Oh, I knew he wasn't capable of writing a note like that.
It doesn't matter.
Just how do you expect to get away with this?
Quite easily. Judson isn't going out alone after all.
Meaning?
He's going to have a companion. You.
It won't work, Walt.
Once the ship is headed for the stars, there won't be a shred of evidence.
Okay. You've got it all figured out.
That's right. Now turn around.
You have the gun. All I've got is this. Stop it! Stop it! Fat men can move amazingly fast, Walt.
What are you going to do?
Do? Nothing much. I'm just going to certify you, Walt.
What?
For a flight into space. There are things you can do to a man if you know enough physiology. Pressures on the nerve system that can immobilize him for hours. I did them to Walt. Then I set the controls of the ship again and went out. I was breathing hard. It took me a long time to make it up the steps of the control tower, where Tween was waiting.
Karen. Oh, Karen, I was so worried. I thought you'd be burned. And then when Walt went in...
I'm okay. Just let me sit down a minute.
What happened?
Nothing much. I had to stop Judson from leaving alone, that's all.
But why?
Well, Walt decided to leave with him.
What?
That's right. He finally repented. He knew that if he stayed around, he'd just make you unhappy again. So he asked me to stop Judson until he could join him.
You mean he did...
Any second now. There go the engines.
He had a spark of decency in him after all. I knew it.
Yes. In a way, he's a sort of hero.
The ship is trembling now. There they go.
Maybe she knew. Maybe not. Anyway, she had loved a man. And now she could love another. She came over to me and leaned over and kissed my mouth. Her lips were cool. Then I knew that I could live with the viciousness of what I had done. When you're old and fat as I am, the kiss of a young girl can make you human again. They call me Karen. They forget what it feels like to be denied two worlds instead of one. And they forget something else, too. Karen was more than a boat pilot. He was an executioner.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features a story by Theodore Sturgeon, The Other Man, which tells of the hardest decision a man could face, to do his job well and thereby aid his bitterest enemy. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Stars Are The Styx, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by H.L. Gold and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Craig McDonnell, Patsy O'Shea, Dick Hamilton, Charlotte Manson, and Bob Hastings. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Bob Maurer and is an NBC Radio Network production.
The music of Freddie Martin, live weekday morning starting Monday on NBC Radio.
Jerry Hall and his friends have now been more than 48 hours on the Magic Island. And in these weird and terrifying surroundings, it seems much longer than that. However, they have found Mrs. Gregory's long-lost daughter, Joan. And though they are all prisoners of the mad scientist G-47, and the Gregory yacht is tied fast to one of the piers on the island of Euclidia, there is a spirit of hope on board, as Joan and her mother talk in Mrs. Gregory's cabin, while Jerry and Captain Tex Bradford are busy in another.
You should be in bed, Joan, dear. It's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning, and you must be tired after all this excitement.
No, Mother, I am not tired, even though Jerry said my eyes looked like 2 fried blankets.
Not exactly that. Jerry said your eyes looked like 2 fried holes in a blanket.
But that is even more impossible. It would be possible to fry a blanket, I think, if there were any reason for it. But to fry a hole, that is out of the question entirely.
You must learn to take all Jerry says with a grain of salt.
Take it with a grain of salt?
There now. I've done almost as badly as Jerry. You'll learn our strange way of speaking someday, my dear. We have a number of expressions that, while probably not correct English, make our meaning known and are in common usage.
I like everything you and your friends say and do, Mother. Captain Bradford is a fine man, and I like that foolish boy Jerry also. I would not like to see anything happen to him, but if he does not use more respect in speaking to G-47, I dread to think what the result will be.
Jerry is young and hot-tempered, but he's really a very intelligent young man. And with Tex to steady him, I think Jerry is no more likely to get into trouble than the rest of us.
I am worried about that little bird Jerry sent off, the homing pigeon. Something will happen to it. Mother, it is not easy to send a message from this island.
You're too afraid of G-47 and his group of scientists, Joan. After all, they're only human, and all humans make mistakes. I think the pigeon has a very good chance to get that message through to Johnson.
Even if the message does get through, what then?
Hi, Joan. Mrs. Gregory. Captain Bradford will be along in a minute.
I'm glad to see you in your own clothes again, Jerry. Yes, I think it was dangerous to have made that coat for you out of the opaque cloth. Someone might have seen you wearing it and thought you had the pigeon hidden under it.
The pigeon got away all right. That's the main thing.
But how can you be sure it got away safely, Jerry?
Well, the only place any of these scientists are is right on the island, inside that magnetic fog ring, isn't that right?
That is probably so.
Then if the pigeon got through the fog ring all right, there would be no way for anyone on the island to detect it.
No. Are you sure there was nothing metallic on the pigeon?
Oh, no danger there. But I feel that Jerry must have been seen as he turned the pigeon loose. It doesn't seem right that he could walk boldly to the stern of the yacht, take a homing pigeon out of his coat, release it, stand there and watch it disappear through the fog without being observed by someone on the island.
It's too dark out there for anyone to see anything.
But how about the glasses with which they see through the yellow darkness? It may have been dark to you and light as day to those scientists on the island.
Jerry, is the yellow darkness being used tonight?
Nope, just plain old black dark out there. So dark you can't even see the sky.
Then G-47 and his assistants can see no better than the rest of us. They have nothing with which to increase their clarity of vision through natural darkness. It is only regarding the convenient dissipation of such artificial obscurity as has been created for their express purposes that they have attained any marked degree of efficacy.
Swell. But what does it mean? Cut it up in little pieces so I can play too, will you?
Cut it up?
Now, Jerry, stop teasing Joan. You know perfectly well what she means.
Well, what if I do? She just thinks she's smart. Show off all those big words.
Is it that you do not understand the big words, Jerry?
Oh, I understand the big words, all right, but... Well, you're too stuck up.
Now, Jerry, Joan doesn't understand that, and I'm sure she didn't mean to be stuck up, as you put it.
Stuck up? I'm afraid I do not follow you, Jerry.
You follow me, all right, but you'll never catch up with me.
Jerry, please don't be rude.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Gregory. I didn't mean to be rude, but... Well, I think she's trying to kid me.
No, she isn't. Joan is confused by all our slang, and she's quite right, Jerry. We do speak badly.
Yeah, I guess we do. I'm sorry, Joan. I didn't mean to make fun of you.
You are a nice boy, Jerry, and I know that if you say anything not nice, it is just because you do not know the correct manner of saying it. And I will gladly teach you how things should be done and said.
Oh, boy, this is sure something good.
Well, this seems to be a happy party.
I'm glad you're here, Tex. These two are almost beyond me. Captain Bradford,
Yes, Joan?
did you see or hear anyone near the yacht?
Not a soul.
Then there may be a bare possibility.
Bare possibility of what?
Joan is worried, Tex, about the pigeon. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, Mrs. Gregory.
Safe enough to talk now, with all this cloth all over the cabin. All over the yacht, in fact. We can talk in safety, and all's well.
I do not feel sure all is well. How long has the pigeon been gone?
It's just half an hour since I turned it loose.
It should be 15 or 20 miles from here by now.
Yes, there's a little wind from the south, right on his tail. He should be making 40 miles an hour.
But will the poor little bird get lost flying at night?
Oh, those little fellows are smart, all right. I got about all those books on homing pigeons read. Have you got any more, Mrs. Gregory?
We've got lots more books on pigeons back home in Los Angeles. You can read them when we get home, kid.
Captain Bradford, why is it you call Jerry the kid? I thought a kid was a young goat.
Now you're getting what I got, Tex.
You're right, Joan. I shouldn't use that expression. But if we're around you long enough, you'll have our English all straightened out for us.
And, Joan, there is one thing I must tell you. It's very rude for younger people to correct older ones. Even if the older ones are wrong?
Give it up, Pat. We've got a lot to learn about each other, Joan, and it takes time. Now about the pigeon. Sure it got away, Jerry?
Oh, sure. It fluttered around a minute, acted kind of mixed up, then it got straightened out and took off through the fog due north. That is, if this pier runs north and south.
It does. This is Pier 5, and directly across the island is Pier 11. The two piers are exactly north and south. Will the pigeon fly to the boat your Johnson is on, or will he fly to Los Angeles?
Oh, he couldn't reach Los Angeles if he tried to. But he won't try.
I think that is wonderful. Do you train them to do that, or do they do it naturally? They're very carefully trained, Joan. Anyone can train them who has a little patience and will take a few minutes a day with them. We have many pairs of them in Los Angeles, each pair trained to go to a different place or type of place.
You start them out just a little way at a time, don't you?
The pair we carry on this yacht, the one Jerry just released and the other still in the coat, we're trained to go to the boat Johnson is now using. And they will go to that boat no matter where it is, though it seems easier for them if they make their long flights in the same general direction as their training flights.
Tell me about training them, will you please, Mother? We started them when they were so young they really just flapped their wings and walked. It was hardly flying. The two boats were anchored side by side in the harbor, and we put a runway between them so the young birds wouldn't fall into the water and become frightened.
I read all about how to do that. You put their food and water at the other end of the board, inside a little coat, and taught them to go over after it. Isn't that it?
Yes, Jerry. And each day we increased the distance they had to go and kept raising their coat up the mast until they could fly into it easily and naturally. That is wonderful, Mother. I think more wonderful than any of the scientific discoveries on this island.
The more we learn about science, any of the sciences, the more we learn how wonderful nature is. Did you ever stop to think that no matter how much we may learn about the universe and the things that make it up, we're only learning the things nature has known all along?
Gee, I never thought of it that way. But you're right. Here these little homing pigeons take off from a strange place in the dark and fly straight for a boat hundreds of miles away.
How long will we have to wait?
That'll depend on how far Johnson is from us when the pigeon meets his boat, and also on whether we will be allowed to receive a radio message when Johnson sends us one.
Well, suppose Johnson tries to send one of his pigeons to us. I mean, before ours gets to him.
That might be dangerous, Tex.
I think not. The chances are G47 will discover this bird is missing at daylight, if he hasn't discovered it already. And by that time, the damage is done anyhow.
But Johnson would not know about the magnetic fog and all these things on Euclidia. Might he not use some metal to fasten the message to the pigeon? He might, though we got some word of the magnetic fog to him in our first radio message. And Johnson is clever.
That fog wouldn't hurt the pigeon, would it?
No, but the metal on it would set off the alarm, and the pigeon would be held to the fog until rescued. The danger of that is, as soon as the magnetism was released, the pigeon would be frightened and confused and either fall into the water or get lost trying to get back to Johnson.
Yes, and if Johnson's boat is too far away, these young birds might not make the return trip.
Is there nothing we can do about it? Nothing, dear. For if we acted as if we were too interested in that magnetic fog ring, it would only attract suspicion to us. The longer that pigeon is gone before G47 knows, the better our chances are.
Right. And now there's only one sensible thing to do. Took it right out of my mouth. It's 2 bells. Time we all tried to sleep. Nothing more we can do tonight, and worry won't help the little pigeon a bit. Come on, Jerry.
Good night, Mrs. Gregory. Good night, Joan.
Good night, Jerry.
Skipper will be on deck till daylight. And Jerry and I'll take a turn now and then. Get some rest, Pat. Good night, Joan.
Good night, Jerry.
Captain.
And now to bed, my dear. First time we've really been able to go to bed in 2 days and nights.
It all seems too wonderful to be true, Mother dear.
Come here, Joan. Kneel down by your mother, and we'll say our prayers together. Just as I've always dreamed we might say them someday.
I do not understand, Mother. What is it to say a prayer?
Oh, my dear little girl. With all your knowledge. I might have known it, of course. What would these mad Euclideans know of prayer?
Is it something I should know, Mother?
It's something no human being has ever lived happily without. I'll teach you the little prayer I said when I was a girl. A prayer I've waited 14 years to teach you. And you can say it after me, dear. 15 years old, and no one ever thought to teach you a little prayer.
Why do you cry, Mother?
What? Because I'm happy to know, dear, that with all your learning, there's at least one thing left for your mother to teach you. Now, repeat after me. Now I lay me down to sleep.
Now I lay me down to sleep.
I pray the Lord my soul to keep.
I pray the Lord my soul to keep.
If I should die before I wake.
If I should die before I wake.
I pray the Lord my soul to take.
I pray the Lord my soul to take.
When Jerry Hall managed to get a homing pigeon off through the magnetic fog ring surrounding the Magic Island, the hopes of the Gregory party ran high. Several hours have now passed. It is daylight. The pigeon should have reached the rescue boat with Johnson aboard, but no word has come from Johnson. The radio is silent. Mrs. Gregory and Joan are pacing the deck of the yacht, waiting for news, while Jerry and Captain Tex Bradford are looking around on the strange Isle of Euclidia.
Here it is after 8 o'clock, Joan. That pigeon has been gone for 8 hours. And if Johnson has the other boat in the position we expect him to be in... Oh, I forgot we're being overheard, of course.
No, Mother. When the fog ring is down and the air is clear, as you see it today, it is almost impossible for the sound waves to be picked up this far from the control room. It is only when we are indoors or against some opaque surface that the danger of being overheard is great. And with the fog ring down, there is nothing for the sound waves to be refracted from.
Then G47 and his men must figure that they're very safe today.
I have never seen the island as unprotected as it appears to be now. And that is dangerous, Mother.
In what way, dear?
Nothing on Euclidia is ever what it appears to be. And the fact that it is apparently quiet and safe makes me very sure that some horrible danger threatens.
Well, what could happen, Joan? I feel we're all reasonably safe so long as G47 wants Captain Bradford's formula and doesn't get it.
That is true. But how long will it be before he does get it?
I think you're needlessly afraid of these scientists, Joan. Tex Bradford is one of the cleverest men I know, and it's entirely possible that he may outwit G47.
I hope you are right, Mother dear.
How good it is to hear you say that, Mother dear. For 14 long years I've looked the world over for you, and at last we're together. Everything seems so bright and cheerful today, the sea so green and sparkling, the air so clear. It's almost as if this island were all a horrible dream.
All that is because the alarms and prisms show there is no boat within 200 miles of us. But let one of those alarms ring, or a shadow cross the plate of one of the reflectors, and in less than 30 seconds the ring of magnetic fog will surround and cover the island, and it becomes just a prison, shut off from the world.
We'll find some way to get back to that world, dear, and then you'll love it just as we do.
One thing that worries me, Mother...
Yes, dear?
That little pigeon left there in his coat. Should we not hide it? G47 was taken away as soon as he discovers the other one has been used.
Tex and I thought of that, but decided it was safer to leave it there.
But, Mother... Mother?
Yes, of course, but he should be.
Mother, what are you talking about?
What? Oh, excuse me, dear. But the significance of something you said a moment ago just occurred to me.
Something I said?
Yes. You said the fog was not in use. and the watch relaxed on the island because the alarms registered no disturbance within 200 miles.
That is right, Mother. A boat of any size with motors running would set off the alarms at 200 miles.
Then that means that Johnson is not where we expected him to be. He should be within 200 miles. And if he's not, where is he?
Would that mean the little pigeon could not get to him?
It might, though twice the distance would be easy for the bird. But if Johnson's boat is running away or far off the course, it could give the pigeon serious trouble.
Then Captain Bradford's formula would be lost with the little pigeon.
The formula wouldn't matter. If it didn't fall into someone else's hands, as Tex could always write that out from memory. But I would hate to lose a little Homer. We've used them all over the world and never lost one.
Mother, this Tex you call Captain Bradford, his name is Charles Bradford, is it not?
Yes, dear. Tex is only a nickname. Most of the captain's old friends call him that. I think he learned to fly in Texas during the war.
And your name is Patricia. Yet Captain Bradford calls you Pat. Is that also a nickname?
Yes, dear. Pat is short for Patricia.
Well, then I want a nickname also. The captain is Tex, you are Pat, Gerald is Jerry, and I want to be... It is not so easy to make a nickname for Joan, is it?
I want to hear your name, Joan. It's both short and pretty, and I like it.
It is a nice name, Joan Gregory. And you gave my name to this beautiful boat. You are a wonderful mother.
Hey, Mrs. Gregory, Joan, where are you?
Back here at the stern rail, Jerry.
Okay, coming up.
That Jerry is such a noisy boy, Mother, but I like him. He always wants to laugh and make fun of things.
Jerry's a fine, happy lad, and Tex and I are glad we brought him.
Oh, boy, have I got some news. Captain Bradford sent me over here to tell you folks about it. He'll be along in a minute.
What is it, Jerry?
You have a happy sound in your voice, Jerry. It must be that you have good news.
Has Tex found out something to our advantage?
He sure has. But we'd better get in the cabin, Mrs. Gregory.
It is perfectly safe to talk here, Jerry, when the fog ring is down.
That's what you think. But when I was over in the sound chamber with Tex, we heard you and Mrs. Gregory talking about the pigeon.
Oh, then we said too much.
Oh, you didn't say anything G47 didn't know already. He saw there was only one pigeon at daylight, and of course he tumbled quick that the other one had been sent away. He just laughed at us.
Then what could you have to tell that would be good news?
Well, come inside the cabin where we'll be safe with the opaque cloth.
Right.
Then I'll tell you about it as much as I can till Tex gets here.
Now, what is it, Jerry?
Well, old G47 let Tex and I look through the universal prism reflectors. They were trying to locate Johnson's boat. They got wise about the boat as soon as they noticed the pigeon was going, I guess.
And could you see the boat, Jerry?
Yeah, that's why old G47 is up a tree.
G47 is up a tree?
Oh.
Where is the tree, Jerry?
Forget it. I mean, it's got G47's goat.
Got his goat? But G47 has no goat.
Never mind, my dear. Just let Jerry tell his story.
Gee, thanks, Mrs. Gregory. I can't teach English and tell a story at the same time. Now, look. G47 is worried because a boat got inside the 200-mile alarm limit without setting off the alarm. And it's Johnson's boat, too, I guess. But Tex wouldn't say a word in front of those scientists over there. Just look wise.
That doesn't sound just right, though, Jerry. Johnson would have been tearing along with his motors wide open, and that alarm would surely have picked it up.
Can't that boat be used as a sailboat?
Why, of course. It's equipped with sail as an emergency measure, but I still...
But nothing. Johnson's got the sails up. The motors ain't working, and he's sneaking within 200 miles of here.
That is remarkable, Jerry. Could you see the boat plainly in the reflectors?
Yeah, we could see it all right. But that's where the big laugh comes in, and old G47 is stuck.
I can't see why you feel so cheerful about it, Jerry. Joan has told us that their aeroplanes will do 500 miles an hour.
Yes, Jerry. And if Johnson's boat has been located within 200 miles of here, it will be an easy matter for G47's men to go out and destroy it and be back here in less than an hour.
Well, I guess it would be, if G47 wanted to destroy it.
Jerry, what do you mean?
Well, what I mean is... Oh, here's Tex now. He can tell you better than I can.
Well, Jerry, I see you've started on the news.
Well, he hasn't told us enough to do us any good, Tex.
Is your Mr. Johnson's boat really within the 200-mile limit, Captain?
Yes, and our scientific friends don't seem to know just what to do about it.
But, Tex, they'll attack Johnson, won't they?
I think not. I dropped a hint or two as to what would happen if they did.
But, Captain, it would be very easy for these Euclideans to destroy one boat without danger to themselves.
Sure, but that's the catch in it, Joan. They don't want to destroy it.
G47 figures that Johnson has come to rescue us, and that he will have all our valuable equipment on board.
including the materials necessary to compound my formula. And naturally, he wants those materials.
Then why doesn't he just capture the boat and take what he wants? Though he wouldn't find it on board, would he?
No, but as I started to tell you, I dropped a small hint that spoiled all their plans and will hold them steady for a while, I think. G47 admitted he knew about the Pigeon. So I admitted that the message on the Pigeon contained orders to Johnson to abandon and destroy the ship if attacked.
Did you really send such orders?
No, but G47 won't harm that boat as long as he thinks anything of value is on it.
Wonderful, Tex. Now we have time to get the truth to Johnson.
I do not like it at all.
Why? What's the matter with it?
G47 would not give up so easily. Something is wrong.
What could he do about it?
Many things. And I'm afraid you will hear more from G47 about this.
Oh, you're always so gloomy.
Joan has lived 14 years on this island, Jerry. She knows more about the power here than we do.
Even so, I don't see where anything could be wrong with this unless... That could be it.
What, Tex?
Joan, could those reflectors they let me look in be tampered with? I mean, so that they could distort the image from me and see it clearly themselves? See something they did not let me see?
I am not sure, but I know that unless you understand the readings of all the instruments and graphs on them, it would be easy to confuse you as to what you were looking at.
Gee, Tex, you don't think there's any mistake about that? You'd know Johnson's boat, wouldn't you? I mean, as plain as we could see it there.
Well, I ought to, kid, but Joan has set me wondering.
You think it's possible they showed you a false image or the image of another boat just to get you to say or do something that might help them to locate and run down Johnson's boat easier?
How about that, Joan? Could that be done?
It could be done easily. I remember when that poor old sailor was here on the island, the Euclideans would often let him look in the reflectors and show him a battleship approaching, telling him it was coming to take him home. And then they'd laugh at him and show him it was merely a reflection of a ship model being built in one of the construction chambers right here on the island.
Oh, this is certainly a mad setup.
Joan's all worried because G47 isn't worried enough about the Pigeon. What do you think, Captain?
Yeah, that worries me, too. And now that Joan has shown me that my visit to the reflectors might have been just a game at my expense, I don't know.
And then, too, you must remember that the alarm did not ring. And if your boat was within 200 miles, it should have rung.
And if the boat is not within 200 miles, that's equally as bad. As Johnson couldn't possibly know enough of what we're up against here to keep outside the 200-mile limit.
That one code message we got through to him on the radio, that might have tipped him off to staying away.
Yeah, but if he turned off too soon and ran away too fast and too far, Pigeon didn't get to him. So there we are, right back where we started. Come in.
G47.
Oh, gee whiskers.
The Pigeon. He's got the Pigeon, Tex.
Yes, I see.
If you have finished your stupid soliloquies, one of you might want to take this Pigeon and return it to the coat.
Then the Pigeon didn't get through the fog? But why? There's nothing metallic on it.
A ring of gas within the fog. The bird fell to the island.
Then you've had that Pigeon since midnight last night?
And all that show of worry over the boat and the reflectors was for my benefit, eh?
Tex, your formula's gone from the bird's leg.
Oh, Captain Bradford, G47 has your formula.
Precisely. My assistants are working to compound it in the laboratory now. When they succeed, the lives of you three will be of no further use to the world.
The Super Delicious Cereal presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, the Man of Steel, whom the wily Mr. Jones hopes to catch in his cunning trap. In just a moment, we'll join him with his guest, the Laugher. But right now, here's Dan McCullough to talk about your collection of comic buttons.
You know what I think is particularly swell about those snappy comic buttons Kellogg's Pep is putting out? Well, I think they sort of hold our Superman gang together. All you fellows and girls have something in common, because you're all collecting comic buttons and having great fun, too. First of all, there's the thrill of seeing which button's inside every time Mom opens a new package of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal. If it's a brand new one, why, you can pin it right away with the others on your jacket or your dress or cap. Or if it's a duplicate, like one you already have, why, that's even more fun, because then you have the business of swapping it with one of your pals and a chance to compare notes on how many you've each collected. And you'll want every one of these 18 colorful buttons, too, from KO right on up to Superman. And you can get them easy as 1, 2, 3. Just ask Mom to get you a package or two of Kellogg's Pep. Don't send in any money, not even a box stop. And you can't buy these comic buttons anywhere. But look inside the Pep package for your prize, one of these dazzling comic buttons or a military insignia or warplane button. There's an exciting prize in every package of P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
A mysterious criminal leader calling himself Mr. Jones knows the whereabouts of 2 stolen pieces of kryptonite, the deadly element which robs Superman of his great strength. Superman, Batman, and Police Inspector Henderson twice almost had the elusive Mr. Jones within their grasp, but he escaped them. It is now Christmas Day, and while our friends and the police continue their desperate search for him, the slender, scholarly-looking Mr. Jones is in a small apartment above a Turkish rug shop in the crowded foreign section of Metropolis. He sits huddled in a chair, a blanket across his thin knees, and a shawl over his stooped shoulders. As Tara, his Hindu boy servant, ushers a huge red-faced man into the room, Mr. Jones seizes his crystal and silver atomizer and hastily sprays his throat. Listen.
Hello, Jones.
Come in, Lapa, come in. Close the door, Tara.
How are you, Jones? Long time no see.
Well, excuse me if I don't accept your hand, Lapa. You've just been outside and may infect me. Just let me spray my throat again and I'll talk with you.
Same old Jones. Still afraid of germs. If you'll take my advice and let a little fresh air into this oven.
Fresh air carries disease. Now sit down. I have something important to discuss with you.
I didn't think you wanted to wish me a Happy New Year. What's on your mind?
A certain piece of kryptonite.
Kryptonite?
Yes. I want to buy it from you.
I don't follow you, Jones.
Now, look here, Laffer. Please don't waste my time or yours. You should be aware by now that we of the Crescent and Star know everything.
Really?
Yes. We know the Scarlet Widow stole the original kryptonite fragment from the Metropolis Museum and cut it into 4 pieces, and that 2 of the pieces are now gone forever. We know that the other 2 were purchased by you and the Vulture for $1 million each. Now, about your piece of kryptonite. I want to buy it, Laffer.
Sorry, it's not for sale.
I'm willing to pay you a profit, of course.
No soap, Jones. Since you know so much, you ought to know why I won't sell.
You think it protects you against Superman?
I know it does. He can't come within 10 feet of the stuff without passing out cold.
But
No, there are no buts, brother. Once before, Superman caught me and broke up the sweetest string of rackets in the country. I don't intend to have that happen again.
It will, though, unless you do business with me.
Now, look, Jonesy, don't get any foolish idea just because I walked into this room alone. And just in case you've forgotten who I am, I can put a half a dozen slugs in you and that Hindu before you can get that fancy spray bottle up to your mouth.
Don't be childish, Lap.
Just be
I
careful.
tell you again that unless you do business with me, you'll be back in the penitentiary very soon.
What do you mean?
Superman knows you have the kryptonite.
What?
Yes, the Scarlet Widow talked.
Why, she wouldn't, not the widow.
She talked, I tell you. The police cornered her and she talked. She was dying from a bullet wound and told the police about you and the Vulture.
I don't believe it. I would have heard if she'd been shot.
Inspector Henderson is keeping it quiet, just so you won't be warned. He and Superman are turning heaven and earth to find you.
Well, I'll take my chances with the cops, and I'm not afraid of Superman. I've got that gimmick to stop him.
You talk like a fool. The kryptonite is only valuable against Superman when he doesn't know you have it. But knowing you do have it, he'll be careful. He'll locate you and then lead the police to you.
If he finds me.
My dear fellow, you know the Crescent and Star Gang are international spies. You and every other important crook know that for a price we would furnish the present whereabouts of any other crook or spy. We keep a running file on everyone who might be of use to us.
Wait a minute. You mean I'm in those files?
How else do you suppose I found you?
And the cops and Superman know about my new setup? They know I had my face lifted and my fingerprints burned off?
They don't know yet.
Oh. You almost gave me a heart failure, Brother Jones.
Now that everything is understood, I presume we can get down to business.
Business? Oh, I see. You want to sell me my file, huh?
Quite right.
Yeah, I should have guessed it. Okay, what's your price, Jones?
The piece of kryptonite.
What? Now, look here, Jones.
Now, please, Laffer. I despise dramatics. And I detest guns in anyone else's hand. Put that one away.
Nothing doing.
Please be sensible. 4 of my men, all excellent shots, by the way, are behind a thin false wall at your back. Look. I need only press this button under the arm of my chair, and the wall slides back. Like that. You see, Laffer?
Okay, it's a standoff. So where do we go from here?
We cooperate and destroy Superman.
Destroy Superman? Are you kidding?
Not at all. With the kryptonite, I can do it.
Look, I thought you were smart, Jonesy. Don't you know not even the Atom Man could finish him?
True. But with certain information I have recently obtained and your kryptonite, I believe I can.
You're dreaming.
I never dream, Laffer. I deal only in facts. Now, do you prefer to cooperate with me and save your skin? Or shall I turn my files on you over to the police?
Now, just a minute. Why are you so keen about getting rid of Superman?
It's so important, I don't dare mention it even in front of Tara. But I'll tell you this much. Once Superman is
Stop
finished...
dreaming and tell me how you intend finishing him. I'm not saying I'm in on this deal, of course, but I'm willing to listen.
Once you've heard the details, I'm sure you won't hesitate. Now, wait until I spray my throat. I've talked a good deal. It's become dry. That's better. Now, listen, Laffer. This is the plan, and it can't fail. As you know, kryptonite is the most radioactive element in existence. The Atom Man could easily have destroyed Superman.
In his precise, coldly metallic voice, Mr. Jones confides his plan for destroying Superman to the Laffer. A short time later, Jimmy Olsen, cub reporter, enters the almost deserted city room of the Daily Planet and meets Beanie Martin, the head copy boy.
You still here, Beanie? I thought you were having a big dinner at your house today.
We are, but I got tied up delivering Christmas baskets. Listen, Jim, Mr. Kent just called up.
Don't tell me he's going to be late picking me up. We're having Christmas dinner at Mr. White's house today.
I know. Mr. Kent says he's been delayed in the south end of town, and he wants you to grab a taxi and meet him at the Metropolis Bridge. He'll be waiting there in his car in 30 minutes.
Okay, I'll just get the presents on my desk and beat it. Thanks, Beanie.
You're welcome. Oh, I almost forgot. A messenger brought a letter from Mr. Kent a few minutes ago. I guess you want to take it along, huh?
Sure, let's have it.
Here you are. There's something in it. Besides the letter, I mean. Feels kind of like a coin, except it's more square than round.
Don't you know it's not only bad manners, but against the law to monkey with other people's mail?
I wasn't opening it.
Well, give it here.
Okay. Well, I'll be getting along home. So long, Jim, and Merry Christmas.
Same to you, Beanie. See you tomorrow. Now, let's see if I got all the presents. Mr. Kent, Mr. White, Lane, Mom, Coke. Yep, all there. I better get started.
Picking up his gaily wrapped Christmas packages, Jimmy Olsen carelessly thrusts the letter for Clark Kent into his jacket pocket and leaves the Daily Planet, unaware that the letter carries startling consequences for both himself and Kent. We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. But first, here again is your announcer.
Say, you fellas know how often the girls win out in spelling bees or reading contests. Well, you know, nowadays, I've heard that many times the girls are winning out in collecting comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Of course, whenever that happens, the boys get busy right away, and the race is on. Good fun it is, too, because everybody gets a kick out of those true-to-life pictures of favorite comic strip characters, like Smokey Stover with his bright red fireman's cap, and Periwinkle wearing a red bow tie, and Superman himself, complete with blue jersey, flying red cape, and Superman insignia. And how those colorful pictures do stand out against the clear white background of these sturdy metal buttons. So, fellas, don't let the girls get ahead of you. And girls, don't let the fellas get ahead of you. Everybody pitch in. It's easy, you know. You don't send in any money, not even a box top, and you can't buy these comic buttons anywhere. Just ask Mom to get you plenty of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Inside every package, there's an exciting prize. One of these dazzling comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. That's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
En route to Editor Perry White's suburban house for Christmas dinner, Jimmy Olsen left a taxicab at the beginning of the huge mile-long Metropolis River Bridge, where Clark Kent, at the wheel of his car, is awaiting him.
Here I am, Jim. Hurry up. Okay, Mr. Kent. Want some help with your packages? I can handle them, thanks. Okay, wait till I open the door. Thanks. There you are. File in. We're a little late. I got tied up downtown. Right. All set. Good. No luck with Mr. Jones yet, huh?
No, Jim. He fooled us and got away. You know, I never tackled a more slippery customer.
Hey, what's the matter? Look out, Mr. Kent. You're crowding the car in the next lane.
I see, Jim.
What's the matter? Are you sick?
I don't know. I feel funny.
What?
Kind of weak. Jim.
Yeah?
A letter in your pocket.
Yeah?
Kryptonite in it.
Oh, look out! You're headed for the bridge railing, Mr. Kent! Mr. Kent, stop!
I can't.
Well, give me the wheel. You're running into the bridge.
Too late, Jimmy snatches at the steering wheel, behind which Clark Kent has suddenly collapsed, and the car crashes through the bridge rail and plummets down toward the Metropolis River far below. Faster it falls and faster, spinning completely about in the air and then plunging into the dark waters. For a moment, the gleaming car top is seen above the surface of the water, and then it disappears, carrying Jimmy Olsen and the unconscious Kent to the muddy bottom of the river. What happens to Kent, who, as we know, is Superman, and who, a moment before he lost consciousness, gasped that there was kryptonite in the letter in Jimmy's pocket, the letter which had been delivered for Kent at the Daily Planet a short while before. Fellows and girls, Monday's episode is tense and exciting, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station, and follow the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Give a hip, hip hooray, gang. It's back. For you and me, now there's Kellogg's famous variety. That's the swell variety carton with 10 separate generous packages of Kellogg's cereals, including Kellogg's Pep, Rice Krispies, shredded wheat, Corn Flakes, Crumbles, and 40% bran flakes. Each box in Kellogg's variety holds a fresh, crisp, heaping portion. Just help yourself to your favorite kind. Makes breakfast a picnic of fun. So ask Mom to get Kellogg's variety right away. And be sure to be with us on Monday for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents the adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman. And today, his nemesis, the deadly kryptonite, has again loosed its power against him. We'll learn the outcome in a moment. But right now, let's stand by for a word from our good friend, Dan McCullough.
You know, older folks often think that they have a corner on reminiscences. You know, thinking back and remembering all the fun they've had. But I know a lot of fellows and girls who are reminiscing these days when they go over their collection of comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Because every single one of these funny paper characters looks a doggone lifelike that, well, you keep chuckling over the things that they've done in the comic strips. Like the way Smitty's always trying to get out of doing his work at the office. Or Lillem's wearing those old-fashioned dresses and shoes. And, of course, there are the many times Superman has saved people from danger and captured criminals. Yes, sir. Every single one of these 18 comic buttons has a real story to tell. They're all mighty worthwhile, too. And they're so easy to get. You don't send in any money, not even a box stop. Fact is, you can't buy these comic buttons anywhere. They come only as exclusive prizes in packages of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. So how about asking Mom to get you a package or two of Pep so that you can add another comic button to your collection? That's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
Aware that a powerful racketeer known as the Lapper had purchased one of the 2 stolen pieces of kryptonite, a strange green glowing element which robbed Superman of his great strength, serious Mr. Jones, leader of an international confidence ring, told the Lapper that with the kryptonite he could destroy the Man of Steel, even though all others had failed. That day, a letter for Clark Kent was delivered to the Daily Planet, and unaware that it contained a tiny fragment of kryptonite, Jimmy Olsen put it in his pocket and met Kent at the Metropolis Bridge, from where they were to proceed in Kent's car to a Christmas Day dinner at the home of editor Perry White. As they started across the bridge, however, Kent collapsed at the wheel, and his car crashed through the rails and plunged into the river. As we continue now, Kent, who was hurled through a window, has regained consciousness and can see his car with Jimmy trapped in the front seat, sinking through the green depths below him. Swiftly, he resumes his identity of Superman, then freezes, horrified, as he realizes he cannot come within 10 feet of Jimmy without again succumbing to the effect of the green glowing kryptonite in the boy reporter's pocket. Listen.
What'll I do? Got to save Jim, but I can't get close to him. Oh, he'll be drowned. I must save him somehow. Wait a minute. Car's rear bumper is about 10 feet from him. Down to it. Down! Now, if only the bumper will hold the weight of the car. It must. It's my only chance. Up out of the river. Huh?
There. So far, so good. Now I can tip the car a little. Spill the water out of the window like that. There. Now we'll go to... police launch is coming this way. Down to the deck. Down!
What's there?
Quick, Captain. There's a boy in the back of the car.
Wanna play Superman?
Get him out, please. Give him artificial respiration. For heaven's sake, hurry.
All right, Superman. Sergeant Morris, give me a hand here.
Yes, sir.
Uh-oh.
How is he?
Can't tell yet. Come on, get him out, Sergeant. All right.
Alive, isn't he, Captain?
Yeah, he's alive.
Oh, thank heaven.
Yeah, but he's in bad shape. Got to get the water out of him.
Right. Take his coat off.
Okay.
That's it. Now just throw it over there. All right, now stand by with that full motor while I apply artificial respiration.
Okay, Superman.
Are you ready? 1, 2. 1, 2. 1. Anxiously, Superman works over the limp body of Jimmy Olsen as the police crew stands by. Long, tense minutes go by before the boy reporter revives and is carried to a bunk in the cabin below, where, suffering from exposure and shock, he falls into a deep sleep. 2 hours later, he awakens, and his eyes dimly make out the tall figure in the blue costume and red cape standing across the cabin.
Superman.
Hello, Jim. How do you feel?
Oh, I'm okay, but where am I? What are you doing here?
You're on a police patrol launch.
What? How?
I brought you here. You and Clark Kent had a little accident on the Metropolis Bridge. Do you remember?
We did? Keepers, I remember. Something happened to Mr. Kent.
Right.
He crashed through the guardrail and...
Took a ducking in the river. You're all right now.
Mr. Kent, what about him?
He's all right, too.
He is?
Uh-huh.
Boy, that's wonderful. Say, why are you standing so far away from me?
It's because of that letter on the table beside you.
A letter? I don't get it.
The letter addressed to Clark Kent. It has a tiny fragment of kryptonite in it.
No kidding.
Where did you get the letter, Jim?
Oh, messenger brought it to the Daily Planet today for Mr. Kent.
Did you see the messenger?
No, Beanie Martin said it was some kid. I can't believe it. Listen, are you sure this hunk of stuff in here is kryptonite?
You bet I am. That's why I'm standing over here. If I come within 10 feet of it, I lose all my strength.
Gosh, imagine that. Who sent it and why?
That's what I want to know. Open the letter, will you?
Open it?
That's right.
But the letter is addressed to Mr. Kent.
Yes, I know, but the kryptonite must be intended for me. Go ahead, open the letter, Jim. I'll take all responsibility with Kent.
Okay, if you say so. Gosh, look how this piece of kryptonite glows. Ow! Burned my hand.
Uh-oh, I meant to warn you. I'm sorry. Pick it up quickly and throw it through the porthole.
Okay. There she goes.
Ah, thanks.
You're welcome.
Now I can come closer to you. Let me read the letter, will you, please?
Okay, here.
Thanks.
A little hard to make out. The water made some of the ink run.
All right. see now. Dear Mr. Kent, I understand that you and some of your colleagues, that means fellow workers,
Yeah, I know.
the colleagues on the Daily Planet have contact with Superman. Please show him the enclosed particle and tell him if he is interested in securing the rest of it to insert an advertisement in the personal column of tomorrow's Planet instructing me how to contact him in confidence. Well, I'll be.
Gosh, is it signed?
Just the initial J.
What do you suppose that stands for?
Mr. Jones, of course.
Mr. Jones?
Uh-huh.
Oh, isn't he the guy Mr. Kent and the police are looking for, the boss of the Crescent and Star gang?
That's right. Apparently, Jones wants to contact me. Well, this is very interesting.
I wouldn't call it interesting. Guys like Mr. Jones and the Laugher and the Vulture want to see you. They mean trouble.
No doubt about it. But I've got to contact Jones. That's my only chance to recover the kryptonite before something terrible happens. Look, Jim, I'll see Kent and arrange about the ad. You keep all this under your hat, understand?
Oh, sure, I won't breathe a word.
Good boy.
Jeepers, I'm scared.
Well, don't be. Just take care of yourself.
Oh, thanks again for pulling me out of the drink. And
Not at all.
watch your step with Mr. Jones.
I will, Jim. So long.
So long, Superman.
Well, I wonder what Jones is up to. He threatened to destroy me, but he knows I won't walk into a trap with my eyes open. I can't figure this out at all.
Deeply puzzled, Superman stands for a moment outside Jimmy's cabin door on the police launch, preparing himself to meet Mr. Jones' threat. Why did Jones send the note? We'll return in a moment to learn more about it. But first, here again is your announcer.
You know, gang, New Year's Eve is a time when you take stock of the past year and make plans for the new year. And while you're about it, it's a good time to take stock of your collection of comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep and make plans for getting more. Because you don't want to miss out on the fun all the fellows and girls are having with these bright-colored buttons. And you want to be right in there pitching when they're swapping duplicates. And I bet you'd kind of like to have collected more buttons than the rest of the gang, too. You know, these white enameled buttons really show up when you wear them pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. The brilliant red, blue, and black pictures of your favorite comic strip characters stand out like anything. Now, there are 18 different comic buttons in this series. So remind Mom to get you some more of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Because that's the only way you can get these nifty comic buttons. You don't send in a single penny, not even a box top. Actually, you can't even buy them anywhere. They come only as exclusive prizes in packages of Kellogg's Pep. So hop to it, gang. Ask Mom for P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
While Superman was preparing to insert an advertisement in the Daily Planet in response to Mr. Jones' request, Jones himself, in his hideout above a Turkish rug shop in the foreign section of Metropolis, has just completed an important phone call. Now, his cold blue eyes gleaming behind his glasses and his thin, scholarly face showing a trace of a cruel smile, he picks up his silver and crystal atomizer and carefully sprays his throat. His companion, the huge gangster racketeer known as the Laugher, regards him impatiently.
This is one of the first times they've ever seen you smile, Jones. That phone call must have been good news.
It certainly was, Laugher.
Oh, what was it? Oh, stop that ridiculous spraying. Why'd you do it?
Yeah, that's better. Because germs often adhere to a telephone.
What was the call?
It was from a gentleman named Bush.
Who's he?
The chemist who dissolved a piece of kryptonite for my late partner, Sidney, and injected it into the Atom Man.
What? How'd you find him?
It was a simple matter of elimination for my agents. My files show a list of chemists who are available for, shall we say, extra-legal affairs.
Listen, Jones, I've been thinking. If this guy Bush can dissolve the kryptonite, why don't we let him dissolve it all and create another Atom Man?
It isn't that simple. We need the Atom Man's electronic throat converter and gloves, which the FBI has.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that.
And besides, the Atom Man couldn't destroy Superman. We must destroy him.
Are you sure you can finish him?
With your piece of kryptonite and a certain other substance which my assistant has received, we can't fail. Have you made all the necessary arrangements on Mount George?
Everything's all set. As soon as you've got the man in the blue costume and red cape, my boys will take over the whole works in the mountain.
Good. If all goes well, he'll be in our hands tomorrow evening. Our scheme is foolproof.
Daring, if you like, but foolproof. You won't have a chance.
I wish I could be that sure. You think you'll put an ad in the Daily Planet like you told him to in the note?
Yes, he'll put in the ad all right. And then, despite his X-ray vision, he'll walk into our trap and never suspect he's in it until it's too late.
You hope.
I know. Take my word for it, Laffer. Tomorrow night, in Project 3 on Mount George, Superman will finally perish.
Tomorrow night, in Project 3 on Mount George, Superman will perish. So says Mr. Jones, head of the greatest confidence ring the world has ever known. Superman, he says, will walk open-eyed into a deadly trap and not realize he's done so until it's too late to save himself. Is Mr. Jones right? Does he really possess a means of destruction more terrible than the late atomic monster? What is Project 3 on Mount George? In Wednesday's episode, Mr. Jones, the cunning spider, weaves a deadly web for Superman, and the Man of Steel does walk into it. There's thrilling action and suspense ahead, fellows and girls, so don't fail to tune in Wednesday, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say there, gang, have you heard? Kellogg's Variety is back. That's the grand 10-package assortment of 6 famous Kellogg cereals that makes breakfast so much fun. Why, it's like eating in a restaurant where you can choose from a whole list of your favorite cereals, each one in your own private package. And Mom's sure to be glad Kellogg's Variety is back. Show her how you can eat right out of the swell new Kell Bowl pack. She'll like not having to wash dishes. So ask her to hurry and get Kellogg's Variety right away. And be sure to be with us Wednesday for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcast.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight we escape to a lonely lighthouse off the steaming jungle coast of French Guiana and a nightmare world of terror and violence, as George Toulouse describes it in his hair-raising tale, Three Skeleton Key.
Picture this place. A gray, tapering cylinder, welded by iron rods and concrete to the key itself. A bare, black rock, 150 feet long, maybe 40 wide. That's at low tide. At high tide, just the light, rising 110 feet straight up out of the ocean. And all about it, the churning water. Gray-green, scummed apple, warm as soup, and swarming with gigantic bat-like devilfish, great violet schools of Portuguese man-o-war, and, yes, sharks, the big ones, the 15-footers. And as if this wasn't enough, there was a hot, dank, rotten-smelling wind that came at us day and night off the jungle swamps of the mainland. A wind that smelled like death. Set in the base of the light was a watertight bronze door. And in you went, Yes, up and up and round and round. Past tanks of oil and the coils of rope, cases of wicks, racks of lanterns, sacks of spuds, and cartons and cans. And up and up and up, round and round. Over the light storeroom was the food storeroom. And over the food storeroom was the bunk room where the three of us slept. And over the bunk room was the living and cooking room. And over the living and cooking room was the light. She was a beauty, balanced like a ballerina on the glistening steel axle of her rotary mechanism. At night, you'd lie there on the stone deck of the gallery with the light revolving smoothly and quietly over your head, easing her bright white eye 360 degrees around the horizon. You'd lie there watching to see that the feeders kept working, that everything ran right. It wouldn't be bad. The other two fellows snoring in their sacks 2 levels down. You'd smoke your pipe to kill the stink of the wind, and it wouldn't be bad. About those other two, Louis and Auguste, what a pair. Louis, he was head man, was a big fellow from the Basque country. Black beard, little hard black eyes, and a pair of arms that, I tell you, those arms were as big around as my legs. Yes, head man he was, and what word he let go was law. Silent fellow, and although I spent my first 2 weeks trying to strike up a real conversation, the most I could ever get out of him was...
I took up this profession because I don't like people. They talk too much. It's quiet work, light tending. Let's keep it that way. You're getting to be as bad as August. I thought maybe for once they'd send me somebody
That was
who would
Louis.
keep his mouth.
And when he accused me of becoming like Auguste, I quieted down, because Auguste was the talkingest man I've ever met. The talkingest and the ugliest. He was hunchbacked, stood 4 feet high, had red hair and big blue eyes. It seems he'd been an actor in Paris.
Over 200 different productions, dear boy, at the Grand Guignol. Oh, but it was monstrous, horrible. The way we used to scare the audience, I was hated. Yes, they used to throw things and hiss and bare their teeth at me. Finally, it got too bad. I couldn't stand it any longer. I gave up the theater. My nerves, you understand. Yes, gave it up completely. I really did. I couldn't.
It all started one morning at 2:30. I was on watch, lying on the cool stone deck, pulling on my pipe, staring out at the blackness, the phosphorescent combers and the big yellow stars, when, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed something show up for a second, something the light had touched, far off. I waited for her to come around again, and when she did, there it was. A 3-master, a big one, about a half-mile off, and coming down out of the north-northwest, coming straight for us. You must understand, our light was where it was for a very good reason. Dangerous submerged reefs surrounded us, and ships kept clear. But this one, this sailing vessel, was coming straight on. I went over to the gallery door and yelled down.
Louis! What is it?
Ship! Headed for the reefs! I had the glasses out now. I couldn't read her name, but I could see her quite plainly. All sails set, the foam creaming away under her bow, her beautiful lines. A Dutch ship, I guessed her. Why didn't she turn? Every time it passed, our light hit her with the glare of day.
Ship? Where?
North-northwest. The light will touch her in a moment.
Can't she see us?
Look at her. She just keeps coming on.
The square heads.
What is it?
Watch. North-northwest.
I know what it is.
What?
The Dutchman, the Flying Dutchman. We did a play about her. What a performance. You ghastly galleon, hag-ridden, curse-driven, must-on...
shut up, will you? Yeah, she's luffing.
Yes.
It's a sloppy way to come about.
She's derelict, that's it.
Derelict?
Abandoned. Crew left her for some reason or another. But instead of sinking, she's gone on, running before every wind.
She'll not run long. Not with these reefs to break her up.
A beautiful ship. Now, why would men leave a beautiful ship like that?
She didn't ram us, although we all expected it. But as we waited for the crash, she luffed again, caught some odd gust, and went about. We watched her the rest of those black hours, heeling and rocking, pushed and pulled by every stray wind, every freak current. Watched her until the dawn came, till the sea turned from black to pearly gray. And on she came again, heading for us. We all had our glasses trained on her now.
August, you can kill the light.
Right, Chief.
She doesn't look so good by daylight. Think she'll ground this time? I say, do you think she'll ground this time?
This is impossible. Absolutely impossible.
What?
Here, take my glasses. They're better than yours.
All right. What is it, you're... I had to focus. And then my breath froze in my throat. The decks were swarming with a dark brown carpet that looked like a gigantic fungus, but undulating. And on the masts and yards, the guys and all, were hundreds, no thousands, no millions. I don't know. An inestimable number of tremendous rats.
See them?
Yes, I see them.
Now we know why she's derelict.
Yes, now we know.
What are you two doing? Here, give me a look.
Yes, give him the glasses. Take a good look, chatterbox. Give you something to talk about.
She's still heading for us.
Yes.
If she's going to turn, she'd better turn soon.
Suppose she doesn't.
You mean suppose she piles up on the quay?
It's low tide.
Yes, it is.
Well, where's all the conversation, August? Huh? Here, you want the glasses again? You want another look?
No.
She's still coming on.
Go away! Go away!
Turn! Will you turn, I say! I pray you turn. Cracked up.
The rats! Look! On the water! Like a carpet!
They're swimming.
Sure, they're swimming. Those are ship's rats.
But they're swimming for the rocks.
The door below! It's open!
Well, come on!
And down we went, racing down the stone stairs, taking them 3 and 4 at a time. Scared? You bet we were scared.
August, you get the windows. Maybe they can climb. We don't know.
Right, Chief. But hurry! Hurry!
Look. You see them?
No. Oh, yes, I do. Up at the other end of the rock.
Look at them.
Millions.
They smell us. Here they come. Well, close the door.
I can't. It's stuck.
Here, let me.
Move, you.
Made it.
Holy, that was close. Look.
One got in. Look, there.
Well, get him. Watch it. Kick him. What a brute.
He was as big as a tomcat, bigger, and his eyes were wild and red, his teeth long and sharp and yellow. He went for us, starving, ravenous, and we fought him, fought that one rat all over the room. It was, oh, believe me, I don't exaggerate. It was like fighting a panther.
I got it.
We'd better get aloft. As we ran up the winding staircase, we passed the tiny windows of the various levels, and at every one was a thick, wriggling, screaming curtain of brown fur. I was ahead of Louis, and I dreaded each successive level. Suppose they had found a way in.
Look at them! Oh, will you look at them?
It's a nightmare.
Will you look at them?
The air of the gallery was thick and fetid with the stink of them. The light was dim, brown, filtered through the crawling mass that swarmed over the glass, all about us. We couldn't see the sky. Nothing. Nothing but them. Their red eyes, their claws, their wriggling, hairy snouts, and their teeth. The rats. They screamed and howled and threw themselves against the glass. They were starving. And we three, we stood very quietly. Oh, very, very quietly. In the center of the glass room. Under our beautiful light. And we waited.
What can we do? What can we do, Chief?
Take it easy. Take it easy.
I can't. I just can't.
Won't do any good. It won't do any good to stand here and shake.
That's right.
Go away. Go away, do you hear me? Go away this instant.
They won't go away. Not until...
Finish it, Chief. Not until... What?
Not until they've been fed.
You can take just so much horror, and then you get used to it. And they were interesting to watch, you know. They couldn't understand the glass. They could see us, and they could rush at us. But that thin, invisible barrier held them off, stopped them. From time to time, we caught a glimpse of the rocks below. More rats down there, swarming brown velvet in the bright tropical sunlight. And then the tide began to rise. If only it had drowned some of them.
Ship's rats don't drown. No, sir. You can't drown one of them. They're all climbing up the tower.
This bunch around us is getting thicker.
Say, what's the time?
6:15.
You've got first watch, Sean.
Right.
Wake me at 10.
I will.
Come along, August.
It was getting dark. One side of the room was lit a soft, filtered red. Sunset through the rats. Oh, very pretty. I set the wicks, checked my fuel, and then lit the lamp. It caught them, lit them in their gigantic wriggling web of pale, hairless bellies, twitching red tails, bright eyes. And then I started the rotary motor. The light drove them mad. As she swung slowly and smoothly about, she blinded them in the fierce, stabbing bar of light, moving continually about, ever turning, ever touching, ever moving around and around. And they, twitching and shuddering, eyes flaming when they were struck by the light, the bright light moving. And behind, on the dark side of the room, so close, I dared not turn my back. But you can't help turning your back when you're in a room made of glass. On the dark side of the room, you couldn't see them, but only their eyes. Thousands of points of blank red light, blinking and twinkling like the stars of hell. And when I came up into the gallery early the next morning, there stood Auguste, his back to me. He was bowing to the rats, waving his arms and making a speech.
Dear audience, I am going to play once again that magnificent role which made me the toast of the Paris Theatre. Prelati, the evil genius of the medieval underworld. I am he who did guide the dark soul of Marachal into the never.
I stood staring at him, horror-struck, but he didn't notice me. The man had gone mad. He kept turning, telling his stories to all the rats, leaving no one out. Auguste! Auguste!
Another one, a late comer. Take a seat on the iron, dear patron.
Stop it.
Desiree, the blood-stained monster, was my partner in iniquity.
Went on, bowing and scraping to the rats, his big blue eyes rolling and winking, his wild red hair waving about him. I grabbed him by the arms and slapped his face. He looked at me like a child, and then his face screwed up. He looked as though he were about to cry. Go below. Go on.
Oh, very well then. Later, my dear audience, later. Matinee today.
Sure, he was crazy, but I guess we all were. A few hours later, he came back up and caught Louis and me teasing the rats. Yes, sounds horrible. It was fun. We would get right up against the glass and make faces at them. It drove them crazy. They would scratch away, trying to get at our eyes. Louis was even cuter about it. He'd pull a piece of bread out of his pocket and press it against the glass. The rats would scramble into a solid ball, biting each other, clustering like grapes. From time to time, a whole knot of them would slip and fall the 110 feet to the surf below.
Look at the sharks.
They're eating them.
Those sharks are our friends. Here, I'll get another bunch together. Here, my beauties. That's it. Pile up. Kill each other, huh? There they go.
Auguste joined in, too. Very ingenious, Auguste. He learned that if he spread-eagled himself against the glass, they'd bunch and bundle against his figure. Then he'd leap back.
Look! My portrait in rats!
It went on all day. And then I was lying in bed. It was about midnight. I was very tired, and I was just beginning to fall off to sleep when I became conscious of a new sound. I couldn't figure it at first. I got up, lit the lamp, and went to the window. Even as I looked out, I saw one of the panes begin to sag in. They had eaten the wood away. Louis, come quick!
What is it?
They found a way in! I held the glass with my hand. Now they were all going crazy, and assured of the success of this maneuver, were all nibbling away at the wood. Louis ran below and then returned with a large sheet of tin. We spread it against the window and hammered it into place. Even as we did so, we felt the heavy bodies thudding against the other side as the window gave way.
There! That ought to hold. If it doesn't, we're done for.
Rats can't eat tin.
No, they can't. But what is that?
I don't know.
Came from below.
The storeroom window.
They're in. They're swarming up the stairs.
Drop the trap, right?
Yeah.
What? Two of them got in.
Let's go after them.
We didn't have to go after them. They came at us. I leaped to one side and grabbed a marlin spike, swung, and smashed one in midair.
No!
I whirled to see Louis with the other. It had ripped his hand open and the blood was pouring out. He held his hand aloft and kicked at the snarling rat. I stepped and swung and got him.
Oh, my hand! He got my hand!
That's both of them, Louis. I'll get you something to tie that up.
Blood! Look at it, my blood, I'm bleeding.
Don't worry about it, Louis. Here. I'll wind this kerchief around it. It'll be okay.
Blood.
There, that's not bad. Just the flesh. Then I became conscious of a new sound. They were gnawing their way through the wooden trapdoor. I watched the wood, fascinated. And even as I did, it began to give way. And a bristling, whiskery nose showed through. Louis! We've got to go up! The next level was the living quarters and kitchen. I slammed the trap there, but it too was wood.
Oh, my blood. What are we going to do?
I don't know. They'll be through this one in a minute.
To the gallery. The trap door in the gallery is metal.
Good. Come on! We made it. Lay across the trapdoor, exhausted, while below us the rats took over the entire tower. I could hear them howling and fighting over our food supply, our water, our leather. And all about us, the others screamed and glared in at us, swayed in a tangled mass, hypnotized by the ever-turning light. By morning, the air in the little room was horrible. Until now, we'd been getting air from the tower below. Now that was sealed off, and so was all our food and water. We lay exhausted, panting, waiting, and the hours crawled on. I was almost dozing from fatigue when I saw a sight that brought me to fast.
Would you like to come in, my beauties? Would you? I hold the powers of life and death, and I can let you in, you know.
Auguste was standing by the glass, and in one hand he held a big wrench. He was tapping the glass gently, not quite hard enough to break it. I eased myself to my feet, and slowly, very slowly, tiptoed toward him.
All I have to do is tap just a little harder.
I found a coil of wire in the toolkit, and I thrust him up, fastened him to a stanchion in the center of the room. Louis was of no help. He lay on his side, looking at his bloody hand, weak and sick as a baby. So there I was, a lunatic and a coward for company, and all about, watching our little drama, the rats. The day dragged by. The supply boat wasn't due for another 12 days. I don't know what they could have done if they had come. And we had only one way of summoning them. That was to shoot off distress rockets. But the rockets were 4 floors below. And even if they'd been right there in the gallery, I couldn't have opened a window to fire them. That night, I tended the light, but its flame was devouring our oxygen. The following day, we lay thirst-tormented, starving, waiting. And the following night, I again tended the light. But the small supply of spare wicking we kept in the gallery had become exhausted. And quite suddenly, at about midnight, the light went out. There was nothing I could do. Wicks were stored 3 levels below. Nothing I could do. Nothing. From time to time, I'd strike a match to see the clock. And when I did, it lit up the million red eyes about us. All about. Watching. Waiting. Below, it had grown quiet. They'd cleaned us out, and now they, too, were waiting. All waiting. Then, the rats, quite suddenly, were silent. And then I heard it. And then I saw the sky and the stars. The rats were gone. I went to the glass. Out there on the water, a small freighter, a banana boat, showing a few lights, came softly and innocently towards us. Our light was out. They didn't know. I wanted to open the windows, to call out to them, to warn them somehow. But I was afraid. What if the rats were hiding from me, tricking me? So I waited. She grounded very softly on a reef not 200 yards from the quay. Grounded so gently that the man playing the cornet, was he a passenger, crewman, off watch, didn't even stop playing. They tried washing her back off. I could have told them to save their fuel. The tide was rising, would have floated her free. And I waited. That's all. That's the story. The sun came up, and there wasn't a rat on the whole quay. Every last one of that terrible army had left us, gone back to sea on their new ship. Auguste, insane asylum. He never recovered. And Louis, they took him into Cayenne, where he died of blood poisoning from his bite. Yes, that's the whole of it. And if you'll excuse me now, I must go set my traps. No, mouse traps. No rats in this lighthouse. I should say not. Life in the lights isn't bad. But sometimes, when I see a strange vessel approaching, I get a little nervous. Sure. Somewhere on the seas, there's a little banana boat without a crew. That is, without a human crew. Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson. Tonight we have presented Three Skeleton Key by George Toulouse, adapted for radio by James Poe. Featured in the cast were Elliot Reed as Jean, Bill Conrad as Louis, and Harry Bartell as Auguste. Special music was arranged and conducted by Del Castillo. Next week.
You are standing on the deck of a ship headed on an illegal mission to Central America. Before you, holding a gun in your stomach, is a desperate man who has just given you the choice between being killed or becoming a murderer yourself.
Next week, we escape with John and Gwen Bagney's exciting tale of a murderous trio of gun runners in Central America, Maracas. Goodbye, then, until the same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. Stay tuned now for Life with Luigi, which follows over most of these CBS stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Everyday routine of a dream of a life of romantic adventure. Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Tonight, we escape to a murderous conflict of greed and passion aboard a coastwise tramp steamer headed for Central America, as John and Gwen Bagney tell it in their exciting tale, Maracas. I am standing in the little patio of a cantina in Maracas. The air is heavy with the scent of tropical vines, tequila, and gunpowder. There's broken glass everywhere, and the most appalling silence. Captain Kelso is standing here with me. So is Estelle. And General Topaz and his men, their swarthy faces serious, completely erasing their earlier gaiety. The party is over. We're all waiting for General Topaz to give the order. And then... But maybe I'd better start at the beginning. I know now I should never have taken the berth as mate on the Bruno. He's a coastwise tramp out of San Diego, but at the time I figured working under that loudmouth, sadistic, slave-driving Kelso was better than the seaman's mission. They were carrying a cargo for Santiago and 2 passengers. From the beginning, the voyage spelled trouble. For one thing, we went long out of Dago when we ran into the blow. I wasn't too concerned about it, but I went to notify the old man purely as a matter of routine. I found him sprawled across his bunk, his mouth open, snoring. There were a couple of empties on the floor and another in the basement. Captain Kelso. Hey, Skipper. Hey, Storm, we're running into weather.
Oh, something wrong?
No, sir, I just thought you'd like to know.
Good. Now I know. Get back to the bridge.
But suppose I have to change course, sir.
Haven't you been in the blow before? Maybe I Should have checked your papers before I signed you on. You are a sailor, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I've been to sea a couple of times.
Well, get out of here and quit beefing it. And don't bother me again. I got a headache.
You should have.
What's that, Mr. Doyle?
Nothing, sir. Nothing. Back in the wheelhouse, I watched the well deck below disappear completely, again and again, beneath the angry white water. And then, I didn't have enough on my mind. It was the passenger, George Miles. I hate passengers. They don't belong on freighters. Always underfoot, always asking fool questions. And Marling was no exception. But what was worse, he was also the shipper of all that cargo in number 2 hold. Farm equipment from Marling and Gavin, Los Angeles.
Mr. Doyle.
So we had orders to be polite to him.
Mr. Doyle.
You shouldn't be running around the ship in this kind of weather, Mr. Marling. You'll get yourself hurt.
I want to see the captain.
He's not here, sir.
Well, where is he?
He's in his quarters asleep, sir.
Asleep in a storm like this? Tell the captain I want to see him.
I can't do that, Mr. Marling.
I'm a personal friend of Captain Kelso. Guilty.
Sorry, but he left strict orders not to be disturbed for anything.
But the sea is wild. It'll bash my cargo to bits.
Your cargo is all right, sir. Now, why don't you just go to your stateroom and relax, huh?
Young man, when I want to discuss my business with a mate, I'll call you. When I want to talk to the captain, I mean exactly that. Now get in. If he's asleep, wake him.
Wake him nuts. I'd rather kick a cobra out of his bed. Go wake him yourself.
I will. And I shall also report you for your insolence.
Yeah, do that. What did he think? Somebody was going to steal his precious cargo? He was on the dock when we loaded it. He was in the hold when we stowed it, and on the deck when we battened the hatches. He was so afraid we'd contaminate it. Why didn't he send it air express? I was still burning about it when the second came to relieve me. Went down to the galley to have a cup of coffee. Yanked the spigot of the coffee urn so hard the hot coffee splashed in and out of the cup and all over my pants.
Oh!
I spun around so mad I saw red. Yeah, I saw red, all right. A shining red sage boy bob. And underneath it, a mocking face. And about 110 well-distributed pounds. There were only 2 passengers on board, so that made her Mrs. Miles.
May I have a cup of that?
What?
Coffee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
Do I surprise you that much?
No. As a matter of fact, I just thought that...
Yes, I know. Everybody thinks that. If they meet George first.
And if they meet you first?
Then I warn them about George.
Oh?
Was he very unpleasant?
Well, he got a rise out of me, if that's what you mean.
Yes, he does that, too. What did he want you to do? Stop the storm?
You know him better than I do.
I don't think you like me.
I'm sorry. I've got something else on my mind, you see.
Oh, don't be so serious. I was only kidding.
So?
It's going to be a long trip.
Excuse me, Mrs. Marling. I've got to get back to the bridge.
Everybody calls me Estelle. What do they call you?
They call me Doyle, Mr. Doyle. Excuse me.
Oh, Mr. Doyle.
Yes.
I hope I haven't rushed you.
Passengers. You see what I mean? They get in your hair one way or another. Only one day out, and already she was bored. Already she was looking for a way to pass the time and somebody to pass it with. Well, you can ignore the passengers, but the cargo, that's the lifeblood of shipping. So as soon as the storm quieted down, I went below to make sure it was all well secured. Number 3 hold filled with canned goods was okay. So was number 4, which carried a cargo of radios. Then I went into number 2 to see how Marling's farm implements were faring. And immediately, I was glad I had. One end of a crate had got loose, and wouldn't do for Marling to find that. I brought my flashlight closer to check for possible damage, and that's when I saw them. Highly polished stocks of a half-dozen rifles. Farm equipment, huh? I ripped open a few more crates. Yeah, they were all the same. Rifles.
No wonder George Miling was so concerned with his cargo. Captain Kelso.
I told you to keep out of here.
You know what we're carrying in number 2 hold?
Sure, cargo, farming equipment.
Well, the only digging it'll be doing is for graves.
What do you mean?
The crates of rifles Miling's transporting.
What are you doing in number 2 hold?
Listen, Kelso, I signed on this ship as mate, but when it comes to carrying contraband, that's something else.
The cargo's listed on the bill of lading as farm equipment. As far as I'm concerned, that's what it is. Understand, Mr. Doyle?
Yeah, I understand. What's your cut?
What are you talking about?
Kelso, you just aren't surprised enough. How much are Miling and Gavin paying you?
If you got something definite on your mind, spring it.
All right, I will. I want my share.
Why,
And if I don't get it, I might be unhappy. I might talk to the wrong people. Like, say, port officials.
Why, you punk. What do you think you are? Get out of here. Get out before...
Get that straight, Kelso. If I'm going to help carry trouble, I'm going to get paid for it. And you can tell that to that jerk Miling.
Why don't you tell me yourself?
All right, Miling, so you hurt me.
Well, it wasn't my fault. He was snooping around the hole, Mr. Miling. I didn't know anything about it.
Naturally you didn't. You were asleep.
Drunk. He's a meddling fool. He had no right.
Don't upset yourself, Captain. There's enough profit in my cargo for all of us. No reason why we can't let the man share with us, now is there?
You're making a mistake. Why don't you let me handle him?
You had that opportunity, Captain. We'll do it my way now. And what's my share? Your way. We'll talk about that. I want a third. A third? Oh, you are greedy. No, I'm afraid we can't let you have that much. Why not? There are already 3 of us in the deal. My partner Gavin in Los Angeles, myself, and the good captain here. All right, then I'll settle for a 4th. How about, shall we say, $3,000? You're really off your rocker. That hold is loaded with those crates. You better take it, Mr. Doyle. Your threat about informing the port officials won't do much good unless you get to port. See? Afraid you're not in a very good position to bargain. I'd say I was. Because you see, Miling, you either give me a 4th, or every man in the crew will know what we're carrying before night. You know what happens then? You got a big split on your hands. Everybody shares. You're a very smart man. Well, Miling, is it a deal? It's a deal.
In just a moment, we will return you to Escape. There's a fellow who makes a nice little thing singing popular songs, a fellow named Crosby, Bing Crosby. Then comes another fellow named Frank Fay and begins to analyze the words to the songs this man Crosby has been singing. Is it justice? Well, who knows? But it's one of the funniest sessions on the air, if you heard their broadcast last month. Frank Fay will pay Bing another visit tomorrow night on Bing's regular Wednesday night CBS show. Bing Crosby, Groucho Marx, Burns and Allen, Dr. Christian. They're all Wednesday night stars on most of these same CBS stations. And now we return you to Escape and the second act of Maracas.
The first day of the voyage of the Bruno was drawing to a close. Not 12 hours ago, I'd shipped out of San Diego with exactly $1.62 and a Canadian dime to my name. And now, the potential. The jackpot potential. The night was clear and dark as I came off watch. There was no moon. The storm had blown itself out to the southwest, and now only a light wind across our port beam marked its passing. Yeah, it was the kind of a night I always liked to see. Quiet and dark. But this night I would have felt a lot happier if there'd been a moon. There were too many dark places where a man could be ambushed on a ship, and the sea is a handy repository for unwanted ballast, including the human variety. So I moved warily, conscious of every sound around me.
Mr. Doyle.
I almost jumped out of my jacket when I heard him.
Mr. Doyle.
What? Where are you?
Up here on the boat deck. May I see you a moment?
All right. Sure. I went up the steps, one hand on the railing, one hand on the pocket that held my gun. I stopped. Took a bearing and squinted in the darkness. I could just make him out, smiling, standing near number 3 lifeboat.
Over here, Mr. Doyle.
Yeah, sure. What's on your mind?
I want to talk to you.
Yeah, I gathered that.
It's, about our partnership.
What about it?
I like you, Mr. Doyle. I think you're a fine addition to our little enterprise. But, there's a little problem.
Ah, the fine print, the hidden clause in the contract. Huh?
Oh, it's nothing that can't be worked out. I'm afraid I was a little hasty, spoke inadvisedly in the captain's quarters.
Oh?
While my partner, Tom Gavin, is a very reasonable man, I feel sure he would never endorse a 4-way split. You know, there's a lot of overhead to a proposition like this. It isn't all clear profit.
Get to the point, will you?
Isn't it obvious? We have one too many partners. One has to be liquidated.
Which one?
That's a decision I'll leave up to you. Captain Kelso wouldn't hesitate to do it to you if I gave him the chance.
That's a charming idea, but no thanks. I'll run your guns, but you handle your own liquidation.
Then I'm afraid you leave me no alternative, Mr. Doyle. What? Keep your hands up and be good enough to move back.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
Sit over there between the lifeboats.
I hadn't even seen him reach for a gun, yet there it was, pointing into the pit of my stomach as he forced me backwards between the lifeboats where there's no railing. If only I could get to my gun, I'd have a shooting chance. I didn't know what the sound was, but it startled Merling just enough for me to pull my gun and hit the deck. His bullet went miles, mine found its mark. But he'd made the choice for me. Murder or be murdered? I'd have to explain it. I wondered what I would tell them, but nobody saw it. Maybe nobody even heard it. Maybe I could just keep my mouth shut. Maybe the wind had carried the sound away. I moved quickly across the boat deck and stumbled over a davit crank handle. This must have been the cause of the sound that startled Marley. This was the thing that had saved my life. I stooped down to pick it up and became conscious of something else. A foot. A foot in a spiked-heeled sandal. Mrs. Marley. She stared at me without expression. I didn't know how long she'd stood there in the shadow of the ventilator. I tried to bumble out some kind of an explanation of how it had happened, how it wasn't my fault. I didn't know how much she'd seen, but I stopped abruptly when I heard him coming up the ladder, bellowing like a bull.
Who's right there? What's that shooting about, huh? Oh, it's you, Doyle. What are you... Miss Marlin, what are you doing up here? Where's Mr. Marlin? What happened?
George had an accident. He fell overboard.
What?
He was drunk. He didn't know what he was doing. He would have killed me if Mr. Doyle hadn't happened along and interfered.
Yeah, but I heard shots.
That was George. When he lost his footing, his gun went off.
Twice?
Yes, twice. I suppose you'll have to make some kind of a record of this in your logbook.
Yeah. I'd better lower a lifeboat and look for him.
Oh, it wouldn't do any good, Captain. George can't swim.
I watched Kelso walk away. I knew he didn't believe any of it. The minute he was out of earshot, I turned to her. What did you lie for? Why didn't you tell the truth the way it happened?
What do you care? You're in the clear.
I don't like the way you did it.
Well, it's done, so forget it. You ought to be grateful to me.
What for?
I saved your life. How do you think that thing got on the deck, that handle?
You mean that
That's right, I threw it. George would have killed you if I hadn't.
Hey, wait a minute. That means that you wanted him dead. Earlier tonight in the galley, I thought you were just passing the time with me. I thought that
You thought what? Let's just say I did you a favor and you did me a favor. Now we're even.
The bereaved little widow. She made that thief scum Kelso look like a choir boy. I don't know what she had in her vicious mind, but it wouldn't be good. Not that it made any difference to me. I had only one interest only, my share of the loot. Now that Marling was dead, the split should be bigger. And then I remembered.
I done a stupid thing. I ripped open quite a number of those crates in my hurried inspection of the cargo, and I hadn't crated them up again. Those shiny rifle butts were visible. We couldn't risk port officials seeing them. I hurried into number 2 hold and was busy nailing up the cases when Kelso came down.
Having your chicken?
Just protecting my investment.
You've gotten around an awful lot tonight, Joel.
I'm an active partner.
Yeah? Well, if you want to stay that way, you'll take orders from me.
Marling's gone. It's every man for himself now.
I don't like you, Joel.
That's mutual.
That was some cock and bull story you and her cooked up.
You heard her tell it.
I've known Marling for years. I know he never touched a drop of it.
Talk to her about it.
That's the trouble. I can't prove a thing. You watch your step, Doyle. Don't you get any idea you can cut me out like you cut him out?
Yeah, well, I'm going to watch you too, Kelso. I'm going to watch you close.
You can quit fighting over it, boy. There isn't going to be any money to split.
What?
The cargo's already been paid for. Tom Gavin collected for it in Los Angeles before the ship ever sailed.
Marling told me it would be paid for at the end of the run. Marling promised.
George promised a lot of things. And George is a hero.
You never intended for him to reach the end of the run. Is that it, Mrs. Marling?
Oh, smart.
You and Gavin had a cute little thing cooked up between you, didn't you? And I stepped in and watched your dirty linen.
You haven't anything to squawk about. You're alive, aren't you? And neither have you, Captain. You'll get paid for the freight.
Freight? For that measly amount, I took a chance on losing my license and my ship. Freight? I ought to...
Keep away from me!
All right, leave her alone.
I said, shut up. There's cheating. She's coming away with her. Shut up!
Now listen. You hear that? Listen, it's ticking. Only 2 things tick, a clock and a time bomb. Here we've been shouting, screaming at each other as the minutes ticked away. And now we wildly fanned out with flashlights, trying to track down the source of the sound. Fighting time. Minutes. Maybe seconds. I was the one who found it. Planted in one of the cases of rifles I'd opened. Enough TNT to blow the whole ship apart, and us with it. We held our breath, white and tense, as I pulled the clock mechanism away from the detonator, dismantling the bomb. And there was only one person who could have done it, the one who insured the cargo, the shipper. Marling had been on board, so it had been Gavin.
How do you feel about your Mr. Gavin now, Mrs. Marling? How do you like being a sucker along with the rest of the boys?
You're right. I'm the biggest sucker of all. No wonder Tom was so sure George would never come back. And do you know how he roped me in? With the oldest cliche in the world. He was going to marry me when I came back in my widow's weed.
Never mind the broken blossoms. What about us? We're carrying contraband and all the risk that goes with it, and not a nickel for any of us.
If you two have finished feeling sorry for yourselves, old man Kelso's like before. There's no law of gravity that says this cargo has to go to Santa Gordo, is there?
You got an idea?
Sure, I got an idea. But I'm boss. You understand, Doyle?
If you've got an idea.
Okay, Mrs. Marling?
All I want is a chance to see Tom Gavin squirm.
You'll get it, I promise. You gotta be enterprising in this business, Doyle. There's more than one way to turn a buck, and there's more than one side to a revolution.
Like Kelso said, no reason why our cargo should go on to Santa Gordo. There were others who wanted and needed rifles, the guerrillas. And what was more important, they had plenty of money, gold. And Kelso knew a man in Maracas who knew a man who could put us in touch with the guerrilla chief. So we altered the course. 10 days later, we steamed through the Gulf of Teresa and entered the obscure little Bay of Maracas. At Stowe, we were partners now. I dropped to Mrs. Marling. Kelso and I, 3 ill-assorted people, went ashore to make the rendezvous. We walked up a steep, winding hill to a little cantina. And just as Kelso had promised, his friend Trent had made the contact. All we had to do was wait. Yeah, it was a hot night, so we
sat in the picturesque little patio. And then we heard them. First, it sounded like a roar of thunder from over the horizon. Then it took form. First a boisterous cloud, and then distinct shapes. Horsemen, a dozen or so, shooting and whooping as they galloped up. A gang of renegades, unshaven, sweat-stained, each fiercer looking than the other. All wearing cloth cartridge belts, sombreros, and sporting firearms of assorted caliber and make.
You are Capitan Crustal? I am Topaz, El General Topaz. Well, the shipment's all ready, General. I'll have it unloaded. There is no hurry. When the time comes, my men will take it off. In the meantime, we have come a long way. The hills, they are dry. So are my men. We have drink now. But I thought maybe we'd better... No. You brought lovely lady. Topaz is happy. And when Topaz is happy, he must have drink. Amadeo, tequila, cerveza for the men and for my friends. Pronto. Vamos a buscar una voz.
I've never seen so much liquor consumed so fast. Tequila and cerveza, a violent combination. And it had a wild effect on them. The more they drank, the more uncontrollable they became. Shouting and shooting glasses of coffee at the cobblestone parapet. We began to have an uneasy feeling. We wanted to conclude our business quickly, unload the rifles, get paid, and get out. Even Kelso began to be uneasy.
Look, General, fun is fun, but we can't hang around here all night. Plenty time, my friend, plenty time. More tequila. Diego, lay for us. Senorita, is this not nice? You are lovely. Music, moonlight, and Topaz.
Please. General, Captain Kelso is right. You should send for the cargo.
You think so, eh? All right. Mario, Shadow. Get the men. Unload the rifles. You are happy now, Senorita? This kind of tequila. We have drink.
No, I...
Oh, you think Topaz drinks too much, eh? Amadeo, hold the bottle up. I must be drunk. I hit the bottle, not the cord.
He was a good enough shot to make my blood run cold. All of them were. The more they drank, the better their aim. General Topaz was starting a riot at the time with a cannon of 44 shooting gourds at the foe. And it was a relief when the cases of rifles began to pile up. And suddenly, the general's mood changed. He was bored with his marksmanship.
Bring me one. I want to see how good the dingo's guns are.
One of his men ripped open a crate. General Topaz grabbed the rifle, held it in his hand, inspected it, and threw it violently at me.
What's this? This joke? You make fun with Topaz? Open them all!
His men literally tore the tops off dozens of crates with their fingers. And I told cold in the pit of my stomach. I hoped it had been a mistake, but it wasn't. It was a grim joke. For Gavin hadn't meant that cargo to go through, so he hadn't wasted real rifles on it. He'd sent case after case of dummy cargo. Oh, they were rifles, all right, good enough to fool me down in the hold. If only I'd taken one out, examined it, I might have discovered in time that they were phony guns that would never fire a shell. Cheap hot metal imitations with highly polished pine stock. Great stuff for kids under a Christmas tree, but not quite good enough for General Topaz.
General Topaz is important man. I have important war, and for this you pay. Mario, Diego, Nino, Sado, Amadeo, Cano, un gran tiroteo para estos canallas.
So it's dawn, and we three, Estelle, Kelso, and I. General Topaz and his guerrillas are drunk, but not dead drunk. Rather, deadly drunk. 10 of them. The firing squad lined up facing the 3 of us. Their guns aimed straight at us. And on their dull faces, murder. The general, with his flamboyant sense of drama, raises his gun just as the first rays of the sun streak through.
Listo!
He has a sense of the drama, General Topaz, but no sense of humor. But when so final, it might be funny. A double cross.
Fuego!
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson. Tonight we have presented Maracas by John and Gwen Bagney. Featured in the cast were Bill Conrad as Doyle, Ted DeCorsia as Captain Kelso, Joan Banks as Estelle, Paul Frees as George Marling, and Juano Hernandez as General Topaz. Special music was arranged and conducted by Del Castillo. Next week.
You were on a schooner in the South Seas, and dead ahead lies the island of Pelota, and the most desperate man of this lawless region. You have never seen him, but you have sworn to kill him.
Next week, we escape with an exciting tale of the strangest bargain ever made, as George F. Watts tells it in his famous story, Sunk. Goodbye, Dan, until this same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. Festive music for a festive holiday, 1 full hour of it. That's the treat in store for you when you tune in to Thanksgiving Day Festival over these same CBS stations. The Choraliers and the Symphonette combine talents for this great show, plus Leonid Hambro, pianist, Oscar Shumsky, violinist, Bambi Lynn, young Broadway star, and many other favorites. Remember, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thanksgiving Day for the whole family, the Thanksgiving Day Festival over the entire CBS network. Now stay tuned for Hit the Jackpot, which follows immediately on most of these stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
10 p.m. ULOVA, Boulevard Watch time.
Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa. Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk. And Nestle's chocolate bars now present Space Patrol. High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy are in their spaceship approaching a planet in a remote solar system.
Commander, where did that thing come from?
It's a glowing outfit. It's headed right toward us. A meteor. Meteors don't glow in space.
It's getting brighter. It's a ball of fire.
There's another one.
Where in the universe are they coming from?
It's a weapon.
A weapon? Then it's some of Makor's work.
Right. He's trying to make good his threat to destroy us.
We'll be back in just a moment with a thrilling story, Prison Planet.
It's quicker than a jet flight. It's quicker than the speed of light. It's Nestle's Quick, the miracle product that mixes so quick it gives you chocolate milk in seconds. Fellas and girls, have you tried instant Nestle's Quick?
Nothing was ever so speedy. Here's all you have to do to get perfect chocolate milk. First, pour out your big, cold, frosty glass of milk. Then add 2 teaspoons of Nestle's Quick. That's right. You pour the milk first. Then you add Quick. Spoon it around once or twice, and there's your chocolate milk. Why, it practically makes itself. And wait till you taste that flavor. Quick is just like those great Nestle's chocolate bars. Yes, sir, it's got that special Nestle's chocolate flavor, that special Nestle's chocolate richness, that special Nestle's chocolate smoothness. It's a real soda fountain treat right in your own home. You're going to love having wonderful Nestle's Quick with meals, for snacks, and before bedtime. And you can tell Mom that Quick is good for you because it's fortified with vitamin D. And the more Quick you drink, the more milk you drink. So Mom's sure to approve. Ask her to get that big brown and yellow can of Nestle's Quick. And then you can join all the Space Patrollers in the most delicious, most chocolate, quickest treat in the universe. That's Q-U-I-K, Nestle's Quick.
And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, Prison Planet. Buzz and Happy have returned to the Graxock star system 500,000 light years from the United Planets to search for the one remaining pilot of an ill-fated expedition. 3 other pilots have already been found and have returned safely to Terra. Buzz and Happy realize that every moment spent in the unfriendly galaxy means increased peril, for Makor, guardian of the star system, has sworn to destroy them. While Happy watches the viewscopes for unfriendly ships, Buzz makes repeated attempts to contact the missing Space Patrol pilot by spacephone.
Commander Corey aboard Terra 5, calling Lieutenant Stitter, Element 4 of Expedition Enigma. Commander Corey calling Lieutenant Stitter.
Lieutenant Stitter, Terra 5.
You got him. Reception's terrible. Now, keep watching those viewscopes while I try again. Yes, sir. There's no sightings so far. Corey to Lieutenant Stitter. Your signal is very weak. Keep talking. Repeat. Keep talking. We'll try to get a fix on your signal.
I read you faintly, Commander. Would you repeat your orders? Lieutenant Stitter requesting repeat on orders from Commander Corey.
Stitter must be thousands of DUs away. Yes, and Makor is causing the interference. That reflector field again, huh? Yes, if we don't contact Stitter soon, get into Star Drive, Makor will be coming after us. I wish we could make him listen to reason. He won't have to. He broke his word with us, and we outsmarted him and hurt his pride. He won't be satisfied until he gets his revenge. I guess there are characters like that in every galaxy. I better try to reach Stitter again. Commander Corey calling Lieutenant Stitter of Expedition Enigma.
Elsewhere in the defense headquarters of the Graxock star system, Makor, guardian of the galaxy, confers with his chief aide, Sindrana.
I've marked the star chart, Sindrana. This point indicates Corey's position. And the other intruder? The second ship is 40,000 omegas away from Corey. Its vector is indicated by this arrow.
Oh, I see. And Corey is in communication with the other ship.
To a very limited extent. Our deflector field is working quite successfully.
It may be possible to send some of our ships after Corey and destroy him before he escapes from our galaxy.
No one is going to get Corey but me. You understand? My own personal reputation depends on it. I've got the entire plan worked out. First, we will capture this Lieutenant Stitter and his ship. That will be simple. Then we can turn our full efforts into getting caught.
You say it will be simple to capture the other ship?
Yes. Look at its vector. It is heading towards Zergor.
The prison planet?
That's right. A maximum security base. A planet from which no news leaks to the rest of the galaxy. Except by my authority.
Yes, but I don't see how we can possibly...
We will order this unwelcome visitor to land on Zergor.
Will you do it?
I got it all figured out. Now listen. Corey can't contact Stitter, but we can.
Lieutenant Stitter, Element 4 of Expedition Enigma, calling Commander Corey aboard the Terra 5.
An urgent message to Lieutenant Stitter of the United Planets Expedition. This is Makor, guardian of the galaxy. I want to help you. Please acknowledge.
Lieutenant Stitter here. You say you're the guardian of the galaxy?
Yes. I am in charge of defenses of this star system, the region of space you're in now. I've already had contact with your Commander Corey, and know that he's looking for you. We promise to give him all the help possible.
That's certainly welcome news. Say, is it possible for you to relay a message to my commanding officer?
No, not at present, on account of those solar radiations. I offer a suggestion if you see fit to follow it.
Since you're working with Commander Corey and I'm lost, the best thing is to let you give the orders.
Thank you, Lieutenant. It will be easier that way. I believe I know your present position. There should be a yellow star approximately 20 degrees to the right of your present heading.
It's 23 degrees by my estimates.
Good. You're near the planet Zirgol. Make a landing on that planet. Then we'll notify Commander Corey where to find you.
Is the planet inhabited?
Yes, but by a very primitive civilization. And I suggest that you carefully avoid any settlements for fear of alarming the natives.
I understand.
And I'll contact you later and help you establish your exact position on the planet so Commander Corey can locate you without any trouble.
I'm very grateful, Mayflower.
Oh, this star system is always happy to help friendly visitors, Lieutenant. Now, don't be concerned about the commander. I'll personally take care of everything. And I wish you a safe landing on Zirgol. There, Sindana. You say?
I still don't like the idea of sending him to the prison planet. The prison authorities see his ship if they'll report it.
Didn't you hear me tell this stupid lieutenant to avoid all settlements? He'll never know he's landing on a prison planet until later when we have him locked up.
It would be better to do away with him. Suppose he talks.
Who would understand him without a translator? And there are no electronic translators on this prison planet. It would be foolish to do away with him, because we may need him later if we decide to attack Corey's solar system.
I realize no one has ever returned from Zirgol in the 12 Darwin has been operating as a prison.
That's right. Not even the guards and official personnel. And the pilots who bring new prisoners there are not allowed to leave the ship. They must return without setting foot on Zirgol.
Are you sure there's nothing to worry about?
Nothing, Sindrana. We'll capture our lieutenant at his spaceship, and then we'll go after Commander Corey. Now come, let's go to our ship and blast off for Zirgol.
Still encountering bad reception, Buzz and Happy continue their attempts to contact Lieutenant Stitter.
This is the direction Stitter seemed to be heading. He either changed vector or a deflector may cause us throwing our instruments way off. Uh-oh. There's something in the viewscope, sir. A ship? No, sir, it's too big. A giant meteor, maybe. A small moon, a satellite of that kind. Sure, that's probably it. If we can contact Stitter again, we can use this little planetary system as a reference point. Commander Corey aboard Terra 5, calling Lieutenant Stitter. Commander Corey aboard Terra 5, calling Lieutenant Stitter.
Some distance from Zirgol, Makor and Sindrana adjust a special device on their spacophone that modifies the deflector field. A few moments later, they establish contact with Lieutenant Stitter.
Have you landed yet, Lieutenant Stitter?
No, Mayflower. I'm flying at low altitude over a mountain range, looking for a place to set down.
Are you near a settlement of any kind?
I don't think so. I made a careful check by viewscope at high altitude before I came in low.
That's excellent. Now, from your spacophone signal, you appear to be on the bright side of Zirgol.
Correct. The sun is right overhead.
Have you observed the large body of water?
Yes, but it's beyond the horizon now. It's several hundreds of what we call miles to my right.
Then you are over an entirely unpopulated region, Lieutenant. Land in the first suitable place you see.
Very good, Mayflower.
After your landing is secured, spacophone me. I'll have no difficulty finding you.
How about Commander Corey? Have you contacted him yet?
No, but don't worry. One of our communication centers is certain to reach him soon. Make her out. There you are, Sindrana. That ship and its pilot are as good as in our hands.
Your plan is working out very well, Makor.
I confess that... Sindrana.
The viewscope.
It's a spaceship. Yes. And on a vector towards Zirgol.
Possibly one of our own prison ships.
If there were prisoners being consigned to Zirgol, I'd known about it.
A supply ship, then?
The prison planet has been self-supporting for the last 2 Tarvin. It must be Corey. He has managed to get some sort of a fix on Stitter's signal.
He hasn't overheard our conversations with Stitter.
If he has, there's nothing he can do about it. He'll never reach Zirgol.
How are we going to stop him?
It's not wise to engage Corey in combat. We've learned that fact.
We won't need to get closer to him than we are now. Not if we use the Darrow projectiles.
It's forbidden to use the Darrow projectiles,
except in the most extreme emergency. Well, isn't this one?
Yes. But you must have permission from the Supreme Council of the Galaxy. That would mean telling them there are alien ships in our star system.
I was able to obtain the Darrow projectiles without a formality. The Supreme Council will never know. Take the controls, Sindrana. Have your lunch.
Sure, that was spitter we heard a moment ago.
Want to stay on this vector, sir?
Yes.
It'll take us close to that planet. And that's not so safe with Makor looking for us.
Maybe the planet's uninhabited. We can only contact spitter before Maker's tipped off.
Hey, Commander, look. Where did that thing come from?
It's glowing. It's headed right for us.
A meteor.
Meteors don't glow in space. The meteor would have registered on our viewscopes.
It's getting brighter. It's a ball of fire.
There's another one. We'll change our course.
Well, where in the universe are they coming from? All of a sudden, two flaming blobs appear out of nothing. Hey, they're changing course too, Commander.
Both of them swerved when we did.
Either they're attracted to us or they're under some sort of control.
It's a weapon.
It must be some of Makor's work.
Right, he's trying to make good his threat to destroy us.
They're gaining on us, sir. What are we going to do?
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment.
Say, Tony, did I hear you telling the gang that you have a soda fountain at your house?
That's right, Captain Toothbell.
Well, don't you think that's exaggerating just a little bit?
Gee whiz, no. My mom always keeps plenty of Nestle's Quick in our galley, and that's just like having a soda fountain, because I can make up real chocolate milk just like a soda fountain treat anytime I like, you see?
Well, I guess I can't argue with that, Tony. Nestle's Quick is the greatest treat in the universe, because it makes the greatest chocolate milk in the universe. Imagine being able to fix chocolate milk with the same wonderful, rich flavor as your favorite Nestle's chocolate bars, right in your house.
And you can fix it just as quick as that. All you have to do is pour out your glass of milk, add 2 spoonfuls of Nestle's Quick, spin it around once or twice, and it's ready to drink.
And you know, Nestle's Quick has plenty of what it takes to help build sound teeth and bones. Plenty of vitamin D.
Another thing that's good is the more Quick you drink, the more milk you're drinking. And that's great for all us space patrollers.
Yes, everybody can have a soda fountain at home by just asking Mom to bring home the big brown and yellow can of Nestle's Quick. Then, anytime you like, meals or snacks, you can fix yourself a real chocolate treat, Nestle's Quick.
If you're like all us space patrollers, you'll love Nestle's Quick. That's Q-U-I-K, Nestle's Quick. Boy, is it chocolatey and good.
And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, Prison Planet. Makor, guardian of the galaxy, has tricked Space Patrol Lieutenant Stitter into landing in a deserted section of Zergol, a prison planet. When Makor and his chief aide, Sindrana, saw Commander Corey's ship approaching Zergol, he fired 2 day-roll projectiles at the Terra 5. Buzz and Happy realize their danger, but so far are unable to escape the strange, flaming projectiles by evasive action.
You'll just have to try to outrun them, Happy.
Well, how about going into Star Drive? Maybe we'd be safe in hyperspace.
We'd be plunging into an unknown dimension with no hope of finding our way back.
Wow, those fireballs are gaining on us.
They're getting bigger, growing in size.
Maybe they'll burn themselves out before they hit us.
I'm afraid not, Happy. That weapon has some strange energy force. I think it feeds the traveler.
On what?
Microscopic particles in space, and we're a giant particle, so it's chasing us.
Well, if we can't dodge them or outrun them, what are we going to do?
Hap, what's the simplest way you know to get a bone away from a hungry dog?
Gee, I don't know. Unless it's to offer him a bigger bone.
Exactly. It's just what we're going to do now.
Huh?
We're going to offer those hungry blobs of energy a bigger bone. We're changing vector to head right for that small moon.
Will they go after the moon?
Well, they may. The moon's small, but gigantic in comparison with our ship. We're going to have to rely on instruments at this velocity, Hap.
Yes, sir.
We'll have to work fast. You compute the moon's orbit. We'll leave it up to the automatic pilot control to skim us close to the moon's surface.
Wow, this computer better work fast. The fireballs are really closing in.
We've done all we can, Hap. Might as well relax.
I think I must have fed the wrong data into the computer, Commander. I think we're going to crash.
We've played our hand, Hap. If we tamper with the controls now, we might really make an error.
Here we go.
You can open your eyes now,
huh? Did
we missed the moon?
How about those fireballs?
They've changed course. But the moon. Look at the rear view scope.
The rocket's at work. I wonder what'll happen when they collide with it. Oh, look at that. The whole moon is burning up.
It isn't the moon any longer. It's a sun. A miniature star.
Oh, that's what would have happened to us.
Look at our instruments. Picking up all kinds of wild radiation.
Yeah. I'll bet we couldn't pick up a spacephone signal from Stitter now if he was in the next compartment.
Maycor is probably a few DUs away trying to figure out what happened. We'll cross over to the other side of the moon's orbit and hide out.
Maycor, you destroyed the moon. The Dare projectiles destroyed the moon.
Stop gibbering. The important question is, did we get Corey?
Lieutenant Stitter calling Maycor, Guardian of the Galaxy. Lieutenant Stitter calling Maycor, Guardian of the Galaxy.
There's a lot of interference considering how close we are to the planet.
It's the Darrow radiation. Maycor to Lieutenant Stitter. Have you landed?
Yes. My ship is on a grassy plain near a wooded section.
Good. Keep reporting at intervals. We will locate your exact position by your signals.
Very good, Maycor. Oh, any word from Commander Corey?
There is nothing to worry about now, Lieutenant. Just keep in contact, and we'll have you in safe hands in a very short time. Maycor out.
You'll be in safe hands, all right. The hands of the guards of the prison planet.
From his grounded ship on the planet Zergol, Lieutenant Stitter continues his periodic messages to his supposed rescuers. Finally, a strange ship appears over the horizon and lands a few yards from his own. Two men emerge from the ship and walk toward his Space Patrol cruiser. As Stitter turns to open the hatch to welcome them, a signal light flickers on the spaceophone panel and a buzzer sounds. Surprised, Lieutenant Stitter steps to the spaceophone and quickly turns to a special frequency.
Lieutenant Corey aboard Terra 5 calling Lieutenant Stitter. Urgent. Commander Corey to Lieutenant Stitter.
Lieutenant Stitter here, Commander.
Stitter, you're in danger. Blast off immediately.
Danger? Oh, there's some mistake, sir. I've been in contact with the Guardian of the Galaxy. He's ready to rescue me.
He's tricked you. Get off that planet before he lands.
But his ship has already landed. In fact, there are two men about to come aboard. They'll be in here before I can blast off.
Are they in spacesuits?
No, sir.
Then you won't need one either. Get out of that ship. Go to the cargo hold and go out through the emergency hatch. Don't try to fight them.
I think they're entering the airlock now, sir.
Hurry, Stitter. Take a minute to spaceophone. We'll find you and pick you up. Hurry out.
Strange. He's not in the control compartment. Wait a minute. Look out through the port.
He left the ship.
Yes, he's running toward the woods.
That made him suspicious.
I'll go after him. You return to our ship and wait for me.
The Terra 5 flies low over the planet Zergol while Buzz and Happy scan the ground with a telescopic viewscope.
Sure hope Stitter got away. Can't we try to contact him now, sir?
All right, Happy. Didn't want to try too soon. By now, he's either captured by Maycor or is far enough away to risk talking to us. Commander Corey calling Lieutenant Stitter. Corey to Stitter. If you read me but can't answer, we're looking for you. And we'll keep looking till we find you.
I hate to think of what Maycor will do to him if he catches him.
Judging by the fragments of spacephone conversation he intercepted, Maycor wants Stitter alive.
I sure hope so.
I'll try again. Commander Corey calling Lieutenant Stitter.
Lieutenant Stitter here, Commander. Everything's all right.
You got away from Maycor?
Yes, sir. I just ran into the woods. I'm all right now. And this is a wonderful planet. Wonderful. I never felt so good in my life.
Stitter, listen. You're still in danger. Give me a few landmarks so I can find you.
Never mind, Commander. I don't want to leave this place ever.
Stitter, what's wrong with you?
What? Nothing's wrong. Absolutely nothing. What could possibly be wrong in this beautiful, wonderful world?
Stitter. Lieutenant Stitter, you're still under orders. I demand an explanation.
Stuff to explain, Commander. I like it here, that's all. Thanks for your trouble, sir. And goodbye. Stitter out.
Hey, I know. Maycor's got him, and making him put on an act.
That was no way. For some reason, it just wasn't going to be this.
Commander, look. There are two ships down there.
Yeah, it's near the edge of the wooded section. Stitter's and Maycor's.
Yes, sir. And beyond it, in the clearing, there's a man.
Just a viewscope, Pat. Put him on. There.
It's Stitter, sir. See? Space Patrol uniform.
There's room in the clearing to set the ship down. While I land the ship, you check the atmosphere sample we scooped up.
Well, the air must be okay, sir. Lieutenant Stitter didn't complain about it.
No, he certainly didn't. Make that test pass with him.
Yes, sir.
Using the repel array, Buzz brings the Terra 5 in on a vertical descent into the clearing. As they leave the ship and approach the lieutenant, Stitter leans against a tree and watches them with amused interest.
Lieutenant Stitter. Hi, Commander. Hello, Happy. Lieutenant? Now, come on, Lieutenant. Let's get into the ship. Why is everybody so serious? This is a glorious planet. Why would anyone want to leave it? Still, you're being affected by the atmosphere. There's a gas in the air that tests similar to nitrous oxide, sometimes called laughing gas. It gives you a false feeling of well-being.
Isn't it great, Commander?
Now, grab him. We'll carry him aboard. Yes, sir. Don't hurt him. Remember, he can't help the way he's acting. If we don't get aboard that ship right away, we'll be just like him.
Come on, Lieutenant. Easy now.
All three of you, turn around and raise your hand.
Make him.
I warn you, don't force me to use this weapon.
Easy, says.
Well, I see you have your translating devices with you. That will make it easier for both of us. Come on, we're going on a walk through the woods to my ship.
Why is everybody so anxious to leave this wonderful world?
Don't worry, you'll be back. You'll be here permanently, Lieutenant.
Hey, great!
You won't think it's so funny when you find out what Zergol really is. It's a prison planet.
This is a prison planet?
Yes. Some distance from here is a guarded prison. It was built by prison labor from other planets. And no one who has been brought to Zergol has ever left it.
Now, I call that a mighty nice arrangement.
For you, perhaps. But not for Corey and the cadets. After I get what information I want from them, they will be destroyed. Now, come on, all of you.
He's running things as if now happens.
Yes, sir. First, I better relieve you of your weapons. Just keep your hands raised. That's it, Commander. Now, you cadet. And don't move or I'll bust you to bits.
Hey, Commander, how come the atmosphere doesn't make this guy good-natured? He's been exposed as long as Lieutenant Stitter.
He's fighting it like we are. Stitter was caught off guard and didn't realize what was happening.
All right, let's go.
Stand right where you are. Are you there with the blaster? Drop it.
Stranger has you covered, Maycor. He's right behind you.
Well, that's wonderful advice, Maycor. Drop it.
Very well. Do you know who I am?
Of course, you're Maycor, Guardian of the Galaxy.
And you, obviously, are an escaped prisoner. If you don't put down that weapon and let me go, you will be in for severe punishment. You won't think it's so funny when the guards catch you.
A guard? Maycor, listen, I am a guard. Janet, the guard.
Ridiculous. Why are you wearing the prisoner's uniform, then?
I like to change off. I'm a guard, all right. It's my job to keep nosy officials like you from interfering with the happiest planet in the galaxy.
Commander, this is a madman. Help me escape from him, and I'll let you return to your home planet.
Nobody leaves Zergol. It would spoil everything.
Janet, what do you mean, spoil everything? Isn't this a prison planet?
Oh, not to us. We have plenty to eat and practically no work to do. Zergol is a paradise. I was in one of the original work crews sent here to build a prison. When we saw what we had here, we invented a little scheme to keep Zergol a paradise.
This is impossible. Zergol is a maximum security prison. The worst criminals in the galaxy are sent here.
Yes, it's our only source of immigration. If the truth ever got out about Zergol, it would be swamped with honest people. In a short time, there would be a shortage of food. Fighting, robbery, murder would be everywhere.
You mean there's no crime here now?
Why should there be? There's plenty for all. If any man has any tendency to be nasty, the effect of the atmosphere makes him a pretty jolly citizen after a few days.
I won't stay here. I can't stay here.
Yes, Maycor, you're afraid the people you falsely accused of crime will get revenge. But don't worry, you'll be safe. We have a saying here that everything grows on Zergol, but hatred.
I understand the reason you want no one to leave here, but we three are from another galaxy. All we want is to return home. We'll never reveal your secret or bother you, I promise.
Now, something tells me you're sincere. But my duty to the others forces me to make you stay. I assure you, after a while, you won't want to leave.
Well, that's not the point. We have our duty to our solar system, just as you have to your planet.
What else could you ask of life than to live on Zergol? Look around you, at the trees, the flowers, the blue sky.
Pick that weapon, Jared! Pick up your gun. Keep him covered.
Yes, sir. Quick thinking, Corey. Now I'll give this convict a lesson in respect.
Maker, break it up. Let go of it.
I'll give him a thrashing, you'll remember.
No, you won't. Did he hurt you, Janet?
Not much. Thanks for taking him off me. You certainly hit him. He's unconscious.
You better watch him. His spaceship is outside the woods. He may have a partner aboard.
I know. It's in Granum. He's already been captured.
Well, my two friends and I are blasting off now. What I said before still goes. We'll keep your secret.
Thanks.
Happy, you ready?
Yes, sir. I've got all the weapons.
Lieutenant Stitter?
I'm ready, Commander. I guess I lost control for a while. Sorry, sir.
That's all right, Lieutenant. Goodbye, Janet.
Goodbye, Commander. Good luck.
Goodbye.
Come on, then. Let's get back to Terra.
But I like it here. I think I'll stay. Goodbye, Commander.
Happy, come on.
Yes, sir.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
What's new?
Nestle's news.
Nestle's what?
Coconut. Ah, that's my favorite bird, Commander, because I sure go for Nestle's great new coconut bar.
So I see, huh? Well, you've practically gone through the entire month's supply already.
Gee, Commander, I just can't help myself. When I bite into that luscious, thick, rich milk chocolate just loaded with crisp, toasted coconut, I sort of lose my head. I got to keep eating.
I'll admit, there never has been such a delicious chocolate bar as the new Nestle's coconut bar.
Well, except maybe those other sensational Nestle's chocolate bars. The rich milk chocolate, the almond bar, and wonderful crunch.
Stop, now you're making me hungry.
Well, what are we waiting for? Be my guest, Commander. Have a Nestle's chocolate bar. And that goes for you, too, fellas and girls. Remember, Nestles, Nestle's makes the very best chocolate.
And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are exploring the ruins of a lost civilization. Suddenly aware that a man is following them, Buzz pulls Happy into a dark passage.
I hope he didn't see us stuck in here. We've got the internet now. He can't see us in the dark passage, but we'll be here.
Oh, Commander, that big stone at the entrance. It's moving.
He knows we're in here.
Yeah, but no man in the universe could move that stone. It wastes time.
He's not from this universe, huh?
Commander, he sealed us in. We're trapped.
Be with us again next week for the thrilling Space Patrol story, The Crown of Darjida.
Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Bela Kovach, Norman Jolly, Ken Mayer, and Tony Sides. Dick Tufeld speaking. This week's Space Patrol was brought to you by Nestle's Eveready, the instant cocoa, Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk, and famous Nestle's chocolate bars. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood.
This is ABC Radio Network.